Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live. You're watching News 6 at 3.
We continue to monitor a breaking news situation coming out of Orlando's Azalea Park neighborhood. Sheriff's deputies continue to surround a particular home there just around the corner from where a 70-year-old woman, is shot at a bus stop this morning. We'll talk more about that story coming up in just a bit. But first, we start with something that has had our newsroom abuzz today and has flooded our newsroom with a lot of calls in the last hour. Welcome to News 6 at 3. I'm Ginger Gadsden.
And I'm Lisa Bell. We're talking about tremors felt across central Florida from an earthquake that happened not far off the coast of Cuba. We want to bring in our meteorologist right now, Jonathan Kagas. He's been tracking this for us. As of right now, this is measuring a 6.1 magnitude quake, and we've had reports from across the state of people feeling this afternoon.
It's wild. About 400 miles away from central Florida, if you were to take a ruler and measure from downtown Orlando and take it all the way to where you see that kind of graphic or that the epicenter on your map there, just off the northwestern tip of Cuba. Again, this happened just after 2 o'clock, and then a few minutes later, that's whenever we started getting calls and emails flooding in about, hey, I just saw and heard an explosion. No, it was actually, you felt an earthquake 400 miles away from the state of Florida. Again, registering currently at 6.1, initially came in at 6.4. So as we talked about, if you were with us when we broke into programming a little while ago, we're likely going to see this number correct itself as the USGS gets in there and looks at all the details of what happened to this quake, again, occurring about 64 miles off the northwest tip. The other important thing to note about this, we were talking about the depth that this occurred, of course. So you think of the earth like a layer of cake. If you were to occur deep into the earth, it kind of dampens the waves that propagate out from what happened. This happened about 6 miles beneath the Earth's surface. That's relatively shallow. So those waves not dampened much, and they were able to spread out. And that is why we were able to feel this earthquake. The other part about this, the more active part, when you're talking about the big Cuba earthquakes, happens on the southeast corner of the country, closer to Haiti, where they had their big one. They're in a subduction zone where the two plates are actually coming together. This is what you call a strike-slip fault, kind of like the San Andreas fault, when the kind of plates are rubbing against each other in this direction, back and forth. So that's one of the other reasons why we didn't have a tsunami threat. Because you're not actually, if you go like this, it thrusts up. That's what you had in Indonesia. That's what you had in Japan with those big tsunamis out there. Different kind of fault line here. You're striking and slipping against each other, so the energy is being transformed left and right rather than up and down to kind of displace any kind of water.
And we don't know if this is a foreshock or an aftershock or...
We do not yet, but the crazy thing is this is a very weird spot for an earthquake of this magnitude to happen. Typically, it's back on that subduction zone. I'll have a map for you. I'm working on it now, but we just have so much information coming in, and want to get that out to you of what you felt. So we're going to have that for you a little bit later on where the actual fault lines run through the Caribbean. But that's kind of on the northwest side where the North American plate, where Florida sits on, meets the Caribbean plate, which is where obviously the things are in the Caribbean.
We had more than a dozen close to 24 places in Central Florida and in Florida in general that said they felt the or whatever it was, they felt that.
And deep into Central Florida as well. I mean, East Orange County, Eastern Seminole County, that is a far way. I'm getting almost 450 miles.
New Smyrna Beach, a lot of people out there have been messaging our newsroom.
So the complete way across the state, just wild, very rare event for sure.
All right, Jonathan, we know you're still on top of that, and we will probably call you back a little bit later on. But now we understand we have Kyle from Lake Mary on the phone. We had Paige earlier who said that her office building felt it. They are on the 3rd floor. But Kyle, tell me a little bit about your situation. If Kyle can hear us.
Yes, I can.
Okay, tell us a little bit about your situation. You're in Lake Mary. What did you experience?
So the blinds on the window next to me just kind of started moving around. We were trying to figure out what the sound was.
And what did you think
it was? And then I'm sitting in my office chair, and everything kind of starts moving a little bit.
What were your first thoughts?
Acting like I'm crazy, saying out loud that I'm moving.
Have you ever been in an earthquake before or experienced that before?
No, never. My coworker actually popped up and said that she also felt it.
Okay.
And then we all kind of started talking about it.
And are you on the ground level there in Lake Mary?
No, we're on the 3rd floor.
Okay. Do you work with Paige?
No.
Okay. We had a Paige who was working on the third floor in Lake Mary earlier.
Yeah, that is something. Again, you've never experienced anything like this. How long did that sensation with the blinds actually last? Was it several seconds or just brief?
It felt like the sound kept coming in and out for like a minute or so, maybe two, before we actually felt like actually moving.
So you heard a sound before this?
Well, the sound was the blinds moving.
And then you actually felt it. All right.
Yes.
Well, Kyle, glad that everybody's okay, I hope. Guys, stay safe. And you actually felt it is something. You're not crazy. You were moving. And thank you for calling and letting us know. But if there's video that you guys were able to get of the blinds shaking for that minute or so, please get that to us here at News 6. We'd love to show people that we, too, are not crazy, because sometimes they think we exaggerate things just a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
and we have not had any reports of any damage here in Florida.
No,
we are
thank
waiting
goodness.
to get video out of Cuba.
And
to
we
see
did
what
understand that they felt it in celebration. The folks in Disney, there was one particular building where they actually said that they evacuated because they felt it so strongly. We have that from a really good source saying that the building that they were in was evacuated because they felt it so strongly in that part of Central Florida. So that's kind of crazy to hear that too.
It's very rare to be able to feel shaking, but feel it that much. To think
Yeah.
that something might be compromised with the building to get everybody out. And we should not have any damage reports throughout the state of Florida. But again, just to be able to feel that is just wild.
Yeah. All right, Jonathan, thank you so much. And Kyle, thank you if you're still with us for that call and your perspective on that. All right, we're going to move on now and get you back to that breaking news we told you about at the top of the show. It's about that Azalea Park neighborhood where a ton of Orange County Sheriff's deputies continue to surround one home.
Yeah, your Orange County community correspondent Jana Manahalal has been out there on the scene all afternoon. She's been observing the law enforcement presence. We checked in with you a couple hours ago, Jana. You saw about 19 officers there on the scene. How are things looking right now?
Well, we're still monitoring that scene. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to keep an eye out here. So we've monitored a scene. I'm going to get out of the way here so you can see what we're looking at. That's right. You said 19 Orange County Sheriff's deputies. Since we last came on the air with this story, they've been in and out, but the ones that have been inside the crime scene tape there, they have been solid in standing there. You can kind of see one deputy holding a rifle on top of the bed of his truck and pointing it at a house in particular. We were at a different scene at about 9 o'clock this morning that happened where a 70-year-old woman was shot. She was taken to the hospital and she is at last report in critical condition. That happened a block away from where we are right now. That happened on Egan Drive, and right now we are on the corner of Flanders Street and Faber Way. And again, we have not confirmed whether or not this is related at the moment, but the scene started to develop very quickly after that scene a block away closed. And again, the reason we're bringing this to you, like Lisa and Ginger said, is because this scene is so close to parks, neighborhoods, families that are here, trying to enjoy their summer vacation now. There's a park called Caddy Hart Park, not too far from here, roughly about 8 houses from the first scene, where I met a mom who said Orange County didn't tell her that the gunman from this first shooting was still on the loose. They said they were at the playground while the investigation was still happening, and she shared some of her thoughts with us.
Crazy. That's terrifying, honestly, especially because we come here all the time with our kids, and there's people we let our kids go around that loop by ourselves and they're biking and stuff. So that's honestly very scary.
So another big note that I did just mention, I don't know if Lisa and Ginger, you happen to mention it, but from that first shooting this morning at about 9 o'clock, a block away, the last thing Orange County Sheriff's Office told us, that gunman was still on the loose. We have not heard word if that gunman has been in custody, if they have found him, or if this was multiple shooters at the moment. Again, you can still see that scene right there behind me, right on your screen right now, them trying to just work to get some answers. We, of course, are trying to get some answers for you as well. I've reached out to Orange County Sheriff's Office just to see, one, if these are connected and what's happening at this scene right now. Once we get those details, we'll bring it to you here live and on clickorlando.com. For now in Orange County, I'm your community correspondent, Jana Manahalal, News 6.
Yeah, certainly people want to know when that danger subsides. Jana, thank you.
It has been 1 week now since a toll worker was hit and killed while working along the coast in Volusia County. Volusia County telling us that the Dunlawton Beach ramp in Daytona Beach Shores has now reopened. News 6 was there last Thursday as crews replaced the destroyed toll booth and added safety measures around it. Last Monday, investigators say Deanna Harrell was driving drunk when she drove her truck through the toll booth that was there along the beach. The worker inside, Tammy Jo Baker, was killed. Harrell is now being held in jail on no bond for vehicular homicide and DUI manslaughter charges. There's a new livestock concern in Texas that is sparking a response in Florida.
Plus, the madness on the roads, all caught on camera when we come back.
Have you guys seen this crazy video of a vehicle veering into oncoming traffic onto the shoulder? Check this out. A viewer sent us this video of a pest control vehicle recklessly driving all over the road, then going into the opposite lane of travel, forcing other drivers to stop, and then that vehicle went into the grass shoulder. Now, we have no information from the company or law enforcement whether or not they were able to make contact with this driver and if everything was okay. Now, I'm here to remind you, of course, anytime that you see a vehicle like this, it is okay to call 911. You don't know what's going on inside that vehicle, and the goal is ultimately to get that car off the road.
That was crazy video, and you just don't even know what's going on in that situation.
Yeah.
And you just are glad that hopefully no one got hurt in that.
All right, we're going to take you out now live to Texas, where the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture is giving an update on the New World screwworm infestation. That is a flesh-eating parasite that was recently found in the United States for the first time since it turned up in Mexico in 2024. Now, after the worm was found in South Texas, the state's Commissioner of Ag placed new rules to try to keep animals safe.
Yeah, that is something that is desperately needed because it seems like we've been talking about this a lot lately and it just came out of nowhere all of a sudden. Now, after the worm was found in South Texas, the state's Commissioner of Agriculture placed new rules to try and keep our animals safe.
Yeah, and our social media guru, DJ, takes a look at those rules and what you are saying about it.
Flesh-eating parasites. That's what everyone's talking about. Yeah, that New World screw worm that was detected in Texas just days ago, it has officials here in Florida on alert. We posted this article on clickorlando.com about a new emergency rule here in Florida that was issued after the screw worm was found in Texas. This emergency rule is going to increase restrictions on bringing warm-blooded animals into Florida from designated infestation zones and high-risk areas. So we posted this on the News 6 Facebook page over the weekend, and it got hundreds of comments, and many of them are interesting to say the least. Like Marty here, who says, gotta run out and buy up all the toilet paper. But this was the top comment from Alex. He said, release 1 million dragonflies, problem solved. And a lot of people agreed with Alex, saying dragonflies are the solution here. But if you want to read more about this flesh-eating parasite and see what Florida's doing in response, what is this bug? Just head to that QR code on the screen right now that is flying all over the place. It'll take you to our article on clickorlando.com where you can read up on everything you need to know about the New World screw worm.
Just looking at the picture
gross.
that DJ
Yeah.
was showing us, that looked nasty.
Yeah, my question is what is this going to do, or how will it impact our beef prices, which are already pretty high at
there's
the moment?
always a ripple effect when it comes to something like that. We'll stay with us because coming up after the break, what's driving up gas prices yet again?
And we're going to be talking about some big changes coming to healthcare. We're going to have that for you coming up in minutes.
I'm News 6 anchor Lauren Melendez. There is a new change that could make it hard for millions of Americans to keep their Medicaid coverage. First, though, we want to start with oil and gas prices, so let's send it over to Caroline Woods in today's Money Matters. All right, Caroline, gas and oil prices are changing yet again.
Hey there, Lauren. Yes, U.S. oil prices are on the rise, although they are off earlier highs amid tighter domestic inventory and escalating tensions in the Middle East. West Texas Intermediate crude is trading around $92 a barrel right now, while Brent is right around there as well. That's the global benchmark. Now, checking prices at the pump this hour, AAA puts the national average gallon of unleaded at $4.16. That's actually about 40 cents lower than a month ago. Around Orlando, though, the average is $3.62. Here in New York, it's around $4.46 if you're lucky. So I'm sure it's painful when you fill, but it could be worse.
Oh, my God. That is perspective. We were paying that a couple weeks ago. I'm so sorry, my friend. We have to talk about another really serious story, though. A change to Medicaid rules that could have major impacts. We're talking for millions.
Yeah, it could make it harder for millions of Americans with serious illnesses to keep their coverage. A new program work requirement is set to take effect in January in most states. Federal officials have now issued new guidance narrowing who qualifies for a medical frailty exemption to that rule. Enrollees will have to prove that their medical condition significantly limits their ability to meet the requirement. This may include showing medical records, claims data, and other documentation. Now, each state will control how it enforces the rule, which could mean uneven enforcement nationwide. Patient advocacy groups warn the stricter standard could put coverage and potentially lives at risk. Lauren, back over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Caroline. Remember, guys, for the latest money and consumer news anytime, you can always head to our website, clickorlando.com.
All right, we continue to follow breaking news on that earthquake that happened off the coast of Cuba earlier this afternoon. We just heard from Lake County that all Lake County offices will be closed for the remainder of the day due to conditions experienced locally from today's earthquake off the coast of Cuba. This is a message that they just sent to our newsroom, and they are closing all county offices out of an abundance of caution. Residents can continue to access many services, the county says, at lakecountyfl.gov, and they say have a safe evening. So,
why does this day not feel real right now?
I know,
is
right?
so bizarre.
Yeah. And so we've heard from people in Lake Mary. We've heard from people in New Smyrna Beach. Would love to hear from some people in Lake County to hear what they experienced this afternoon, because it sounds like they definitely felt it
They
there.
felt something. Yeah. All right. Well, there is a lot of uncertainty around the job market right now, leaving a lot of people looking for work feeling, well, just stuck. So a recent study found hiring rates are nearly 5% lower than just a year ago and nearly 20% lower than before the pandemic. Career experts say the key to standing out is translating your daily duties into measurable accomplishments and highlighting any leadership, mentorship, or team management experience.
To get that call back, you're going to be really strategic in terms of where you're applying based on your skills and experience. Focus on being the right fit. That's your key. And then you also want to lean into your network. It's really important that you are stepping into that network and asking for help.
So experts say job seekers should also be really selective when it comes to using AI when applying for jobs, and always rewrite your resume in your own voice. I think that is key. People understand that everyone's going to use AI for some kind of help, but you can't let that be your sole representation of how you really are.
Well, this week is a somber week across Central Florida as we mark 10 years since the Pulse tragedy.
Yeah, today a visual reminder was unveiled at City Hall, just one of several events taking place across the area this week. News 6's Stephanie Rodriguez shows us that and the update leaders got on the permanent Pulse Memorial's progress.
Ribbons to remember the 49 lives lost at Pulse nightclub now wave in the wind outside Orlando City Hall, almost 10 years after one of America's deadliest mass shootings. These prayer ribbons have been brought to Orlando every year since the tragedy. While these ribbons were put up as a way to remember what happened on June 12, 2016, we learned more about the city's plans for a permanent memorial.
And so in a very symbolic way, this is the area in which you can come to be surrounded by those angels.
The council got an update on the memorial's design phase. Now it's 60%. While Pulse was torn down in March, we now know that parts of the building will live within the memorial through concrete that's being used from it.
There were many of the family members that did not actually want the building demolished because their child had died there and they felt like their soul was there. So in this way, we were able to preserve that and keep the buildings in a holistic manner on the site.
And personal items that belong to the Angels will also be here, safely on display for visitors to observe in capsules.
Allows the visitor, particularly those that are still going through the grieving process, to commune with that in that space and reflect back out, looking and seeing the survivors' common beyond the tragic site.
Construction on the memorial is set to begin in September, and it's expected to be completed by late 2027. Reporting in Orlando, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
Now, City Hall also will hold its annual Pulse Remembrance Ceremony. That will happen this Friday at First United Methodist Church. That's in downtown Orlando. Well, a family on the other side of the state, out of their home, stuck without help after doing what emergency officials actually told them to do. The answers they now want.
It's going to be that is a crazy story. Also ahead at 4, officials in Volusia County are working to address a problem property along a stretch of resort properties. We're digging into how we got here.
Coming up in the morning, raising the gas tax. One local county is considering it even with the current prices. Find out how much more you could be paying.
Plus, the newest plan to try to keep bears out of local neighborhoods. We'll see you for News 6 Mornings starting at 5.
We're learning more today about a troubling story out of Orange County. Sheriff's deputies say 2 toddlers were shot and killed by their own father, who then turned the gun on himself.
Yeah, we now know that at the time of this fatal shooting, the man in question was in some legal trouble. Your Orange County community correspondent, Mike Valenti, joins us now live outside the courthouse with this tragic story. And Mike, the man was supposed to go to trial soon, we understand.
Ginger, that's right. Bryant Watts was scheduled to go on trial on a misdemeanor battery charge later this month. His case actually came up before a judge just last Thursday, a day before deputies say he shot and killed his 2 young children. We did confirm today that those children were 2-year-old Tiana Watts and her sister, Jalea, who was about to turn 1 later this month. The Orange County Sheriff's Office says someone called 911 about a man chasing a woman with a gun. The woman ended up not being hurt, but she told deputies when they responded to the scene that she was worried about her children who were in an apartment nearby. When deputies went inside, they found that the 2 toddlers were shot, as well as Watts, who was dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Now, after doing some digging today, I did learn that Watts was charged with misdemeanor battery against his girlfriend, and he had a pretrial conference just last Thursday. Although Watts himself was not there, I did confirm with the public defender's office that this is the same Bryant Watts who was scheduled to go on trial later this month. So obviously that trial will not happen. But the question hanging over all of this is what motivated this man, Bryant Watts, to shoot and kill his 2 young children, 1 and 2 years old, respectively. Coming up tonight at 4:30, we're going to bring you more on what Orlando police said in an affidavit from that misdemeanor charge back in November. You're going to want to stick around for that. That's coming up tonight at 4:30. For now, we're live in front of the Orange County Courthouse. I'm your Orange County community correspondent, Mike Valenti, News 6.
Such an awful story. Even when you do get answers, it's still just painful. Mike, we look forward to your reporting later on today. Thank you. Now to a News 6 investigation, a follow-up. Mysterious mail showing up at one woman's home.
News 6 investigator Mike DeForest joins us now. He first brought us this story back in 2024. And we're not just talking about like 1 or 2 pieces of mail that was addressed to the wrong person showing up at this lady's house.
Yeah, this was a crazy story. And the big development is this investigation we did 2 years ago has now led to an arrest.
Wow.
Let me take you back 2 years. Okay. This was the story. We were contacted by News 6 viewer Patty Malone. This is her. And this is the mail that would come out of her mailbox daily. We're just talking stacks. And as you go through it, it was mostly toll violation notices, traffic citations, and other vehicle-related matters. 600 letters in the course of a couple months. She couldn't get the post office to stop delivering them, so she called News 6 for help, thinking we might be able to do some. I didn't know. I took a look at them, started going through those names, and what we deduced is what was probably happening is that vehicles all over the country were possibly registered or titled fraudulently to her address, but we couldn't make a whole lot of sense out of it. So after we did this investigation 2 years ago, I had questions for the state agency that handles vehicle registrations, highway safety motor vehicles. So I sent some questions and the list of the names on those envelopes there. Well, what we now know is one of their investigators through FHP immediately jumped on it, started going through those names, and confirmed kind of what we thought was, yes, all these vehicles all over the country were titled to her home address in Apopka.
You feel like there would be some type of flagging system in place.
A red flag.
And I've asked the agency about that, haven't gotten a response to that yet. But what law enforcement was able to figure out is this one guy, allegedly, here in Central Florida, that's his job, is titling vehicles on behalf of like used car dealers and such. And apparently people were paying him $25 a piece to register their out-of-state vehicles here in Florida, which you can't do. You have to live here to I'm saying register. I mean title a vehicle here in Florida. And so that's what they say he was allegedly doing, taking $25 a pop, hundreds and hundreds of people.
What's the advantage of titling a car here?
So that is not clear in the arrest report. So I don't want to speculate too much. What I can tell you is when I look through those names, we know one guy was wanted for theft up in Illinois. In fact, the cops came to that woman's home in Apopka looking for him to question him about this Walmart theft. We found several other names that were matching the names of people wanted for crimes. So put 2 and 2 together, it's possible that some of these people wanted to mask their vehicles to commit crimes. We don't know that for a fact. Certainly, their toll violation notices and traffic tickets were getting mailed to Apopka instead of their homes all over the country. Now this guy is facing 129 counts
of motor vehicle title fraud.
All right. Will her mailbox look any different after this?
It's gotten a little bit better since we did the story, but she says she still receives letters quite frequently. Coming up, we're going to run the story at 4 o'clock here, and the one little nugget I'll save for you is, why did he pick her home? That is another interesting development. You'll have to check it out at 4 o'clock.
We would all want to know that.
I'll save that little teaser for
Okay, Mike DeForest, great job. And it's an award-winning story, by the way, and it caught the attention of a lot of people, so congratulations
It was a big mystery when we told it, and now at least we have some answers according to law enforcement.
All right, thank you, Mike.
Well, the quick actions of a deputy at a Good Samaritan helped save a life in Volusia County. The sheriff's office telling us deputies were flagged down on Saturday morning after a swimmer in New Smyrna Beach was found floating face down in the water. A deputy and a bystander pulled the 68-year-old woman out of the water. She did not have a pulse. Deputies immediately started doing CPR and got her to start breathing again. Again, she was taken to the hospital to be checked out.
Oh, my goodness. Thank goodness that they were there when they were, and the right people were in the right place at the right time. Well, we cover high-speed chases in Central Florida by deputies in Flagler counties, but this one probably we can't classify as high-speed, so let's tell you what we're talking about and show you what we're talking about.
Stop. We know it's you. You're under arrest. Just give it up, man. Just stop. Don't make this any worse.
Give it up, man. Don't make it any worse. How could you make it any worse? It looks like he might be on a motorcycle, but it's a really slow one. The sheriff's office says early Sunday morning, a deputy spotted a motorcycle with no lights or license plate. The deputy tried to pull it over, but the rider refused to stop, speeding up to a whopping 40 miles an hour before slowing down to 15. He's not going to get a super speeder ticket, that's for sure. He eventually stopped when he got stuck in sandy streets. The rider is 38-year-old Brian Schwartz, who's arrested for fleeing and eluding, operating without a driver's license, and no motorcycle endorsement there. But not a good look.
No, not at all. All right, we want to tell you about a woman who was saved from sudden danger in South Florida. This happened back on May 1st, but the Broward Sheriff's Office just posted this video last week. Officials say a car plunged into a canal in Pompano Beach with an elderly woman inside. Officers jumped into the water right away after seeing the vehicle quickly taking on water. Officers broke the window and pulled the woman to safety. A couple on the other side of the state says their flood insurance was too much and not enough at the same time.
All right, so this is nearly 2 years ago after Hurricane Helene severely damaged their home. They're still in limbo 2 years. Annie Kroll with our CBS station in Tampa has their story.
That's the sound of 6 to 8 inches of water going into Brennan and his wife Katie McDonald's home in September of 2024.
So it didn't come in through the doors, it came up through the floorboards.
Also losing 2 cars, temporarily preventing Katie from going to work as a Pinellas County special needs teacher.
There were 2 bedrooms over here, one there. That was our bedroom with my office that I was working at.
Damage was more than 49% of the home's value, so FEMA told them to tear it down.
FEMA, I can't say has done really too much at all. It took us probably a year and a half to finish the insurance settlement.
This University of Tampa hockey coach said they stopped getting FEMA housing assistance about 3 months after Hurricane Helene, told by the organization they weren't eligible to continue. Yet the McDonald's have spent months trying to prove they are, working their way through recovery programs, including Elevate Florida.
FEMA was making us tear down. So insurance wasn't covering us to tear down. They were only covering what was damaged by the flood, but FEMA was making us tear down and not giving assistance because we had insurance.
Staying with friends and family the last 2 years and currently paying rent to one of Brennan's former U Tampa hockey teammates.
Paying rent and a mortgage at the same time makes it difficult to move forward. We just got married. We're looking to start our life together, and it's difficult when you're not able to save for the things you want to be able to do in 5, 10, 20 years.
I don't even understand how you fix that. I mean,
been
they
too
need a
long.
home. Yeah. Well, as the Orlando Storm wrap up a successful first season, one of their key players is being recognized for his performance. Quarterback Jack Plummer was named one of the 4 finalists for league MVP. Plummer the UFL's most productive passing attack and emerged as one of the league's premier quarterbacks, leading the Storm to an 8-2 record and the top seed in the playoffs. He also led the league in total offensive yards with nearly 2,400. The MVP winner will be announced Friday. Plummer's success wasn't enough to power the Storm through the playoffs, though. They lost to the DC Defenders 28-22 just yesterday, but still a very good first season for the team, and hopefully they'll draw even more fans in after they see how successful and how much fun those games really are. All right, we're going to get a check of your evening forecast with meteorologist Jonathan Kegas when we come back.
Plus, how Central Florida's boom could be contributing to hurricane damage after the break.
Your Monday evening traffic alert. You're going to have to pay attention because there's going to be a lot of construction out there, north and southbound along the Florida Turnpike. You'll see those lane closures, and then I have a new one for you. Celebration area, World Drive, I-4, eastbound. If you're trying to get onto 417, those side ramps out there, there will be some serious lane closures in place, but they'll have a detour for you. You need to make sure you're paying attention. You will not be able to cut through the celebration area. They're going to route you up towards US 192. Also, the routine stuff that we see on I-4 out by Sand Lake will definitely be present, with some minor lane closures overnight in downtown Orlando. I'm Trooper Steve with your News 6 traffic alert. Drive safely, and I'll catch you in the morning.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Bill Ray Nissan Longwood. We do it the right way.
Welcome back. You are looking live at Daytona Beach. Gorgeous shot out there. The beach is packed as it's another hot day across Central Florida. But a lot of people along the coast were letting us know here in our newsroom this afternoon they actually felt something that happened off the coast of Cuba this afternoon.
Yeah, really, really wild. Really rare for this to happen, and it's in a really weird spot for this earthquake to happen as well, which is helping in the reason why we felt this earthquake. So here's the latest. Again, still holding at a 6.1 magnitude earthquake just at 2 o'clock, just seconds after 2 o'clock Eastern time, just off the northwest tip of Cuba. Most people in Florida felt this, at least through a lot of Central Florida, certainly southwest and on the Gulf side of Florida going forward. To give you some perspective on where this occurred, here is kind of the plates. If you know anything about plate tectonics, we sit on the North American plate. It's that big kind of outline that goes through the northern half of Cuba towards Yucatan and, of course, including all of North America. It kind of runs parallel with the Caribbean plate. And I highlighted in red there where the typical big earthquakes are that you hear about a lot when you're talking about Cuban earthquakes. And it's mainly on the southeast side, directly where the North American plate kind of meshes with the Caribbean plate as they force each other up and down. This earthquake happened, you see kind of far off on where those two main plates come. Now, there are some old fault lines still there from centuries and eons ago when the Earth was kind of moving. Of course, since there's water on the planet, these tectonic plates are always moving. So there's old plates that these things are old fault lines that kind of remain there. And that's where this one likely formed on, again, on the west side. And we're looking at the kind of fault. We talked about earlier when we broke into programming that this was not going to trigger a tsunami. This is what's known as a strike-slip fault. One of the more famous strike-slip faults is the San Andreas Fault in Southern California. It kind of goes up and down, north and south there, rather than actually lifting the Earth up. So we had that strike slip, the Earth kind of moved past each other, and then it propagated that wave that we know as the earthquake, again, rather than displacing the Earth either up or down to create the tsunami. That needs to happen in order for a tsunami to be generated as well. So we had kind of that shaking back and forth there generated by the earthquake. We're, of course, staying on top of this, and we'll have your weather forecast coming up in a couple of minutes as well when News 6 at 4 rolls around. But again, that's the craziness of today. We felt an earthquake.
Absolutely. And of course, we've been asking for people to send in their pictures.
Yep. You can always do that by downloading the free News 6 weather app. Just search WKMG in your app store. You can upload your photos to pin it right there.
All right. Well, as you know, Jonathan, you don't need a major hurricane to cause major damage. Back in 2008, Tropical Storm Faye caused some of the worst flooding in Central Florida history. And across Central Florida, neighborhoods that never experienced flooding dealt with it that year. As News 6 investigator Pavlina Osta reports, booming growth could be making your home more vulnerable.
Welcome to my world right now.
Marty DeBlois's world turned into a river 4 years ago.
My wife's car right there was over across the street, got destroyed. My Lexus got destroyed.
Hurricane Ian devastated his Port Orange neighborhood. He now swipes through countless videos recalling the damage.
It was brutal. It was a tough thing to take. And then 2 years later, Milton came.
DeBlois didn't have flood insurance because he didn't know he was at risk. He's not alone.
A lot of Central Floridians don't realize they're at risk of flooding because they don't live along the coast.
According to FEMA, DeBlois does live in a flood zone, but I uncovered nearly 350,000 properties statewide face flood hazards, but are not recognized as high risk in FEMA flood maps. I looked up areas around Central Florida that have flooded repeatedly and then cross-referenced with FEMA's flood map. This list includes Pine Hills, Point Siena, and Union Park, areas FEMA does not consider high risk.
Just 1 inch of floodwater causes $25,000 in damage.
Despite this, only 20% of Floridians have flood insurance, and only 6% of homes in Orange, Osceola, Seminole, and Lake counties have a policy. DeBlois's community now requires all homes to be built 6 feet off the ground, but he decided to stay in the 80%.
Well, I'm pretty confident. I mean, I know one thing, we won't need flood insurance.
In Orlando, I'm Pavlina Osta, News 6.
Now you can find all of our hurricane season coverage right now on clickorlando.com. We have all the tips to help you as a storm approaches and the latest forecasting from the tropics.
All right, I have a question for you. How early do you show up at the airport?
Have you met my husband? We are there about 48 hours in advance of every single flight.
This is nothing for you then. The TSA recommends showing up 3 hours early, and so are officials at the world's most famous arena for tonight's Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Extra barriers are set up with canines on patrol outside of New York's Madison Square Garden. Enhanced measures are in place for President Trump's visit there tonight. He's expected to become the first sitting president to attend a finals game. NYPD and Secret Service also made the decision to cancel the popular and viral watch parties outside MSG. People were not happy about that, and they are locking down several blocks around the arena.
In addition to personnel, our security posture combines drones as well as advanced counter-drone technology, protective intelligence, specialized tactical teams, and operational resources that allow us to identify and address potential threats while maintaining a welcoming environment for fans.
Welcome. The Knicks beat the Spurs in the first 2 games of the series in San Antonio last week. Tip-off is tonight at 8:30.
It's going to be an exciting
Hope
game.
your team wins, whoever that is. All right, after the break, the emotional graduation ceremony, and it was all caught on camera. Well, a special graduation ceremony is capturing hearts all across social media. Jasmine Monroe shows us why.
What looked like a typical graduation at William Raines High School quickly became something much deeper. A Florida family is inspiring thousands online after a heartfelt video showed an uncle overcome with emotion while watching his nephew make history.
My nephew, the first boy, man, first male on my mama and dad to walk across the stage. You heard?
For this Uncle Antonio Brown, the tears weren't just about graduation day. They were about everything it took to get there.
But seeing him get to finish it and complete it the right way, that really meant a lot to me.
The challenges of growing up in neighborhoods where opportunities felt limited.
I almost quit a couple times.
Why?
I thought I couldn't do it. Thought it was too hard for me.
The pain of watching friends lose their way.
It's a lot of followers out here, and all the followers they're getting followed to the grave and to the jail yard. You know what I'm saying?
And the pride of seeing the next generation choose a different path.
We got to make sure they complete the mission, you know? That's our goal. We got to make sure they finish and do it. If we didn't, they got to finish.
As his nephew Ty crossed the stage, that diploma became more than a piece of paper. It became a symbol of progress, a symbol of hope, and proof that one achievement can change the trajectory of an entire family.
Seeing like around like my surroundings and stuff, you know, people don't finish school and stuff, so I didn't want to end up how they ended up.
Social media users flooded the comments, many sharing similar stories of becoming first-generation graduates and recognizing the weight of breaking generational barriers. Even rapper Lil Boosie shared his admiration, saying he was proud.
When you turn on the news, you're now going to see your faces.
Yeah, that's something positive.
For this Westside family, graduation wasn't the end of the school year. It was the beginning of a new legacy.
I just want to let them know, man, I'm proud of you, man. You did that for me, for the whole family, you heard me?
And a reminder that sometimes the most powerful victories aren't measured by where you start, but the obstacles you overcome to reach the finish line.
No matter how hard I get, I got your back.
It's only up from here.
For sure.
I love so many things about that story. That's so crazy. And they talk about breaking generational curses, and it has to start somewhere, right? And it's lovely that he has that kind of support from the other men in his
For
family,
sure.
too.
I'm hoping for the best for that young man.
Oh, I'm sure we'll hear more from him moving forward. All right, we're working on a lot of stories for News 6 at 4 o'clock.
It is the wildest news day today. We are following up on an earthquake that was felt from Cuba, in the area of Cuba, but it was felt here in parts of Central Florida. We've heard from people in Lake Mary, and we also have impacts being felt in Lake County, shutting down businesses. This was an earthquake that was felt from 400 miles away, 6.1 magnitude earthquake, so we'll be on top of that. We're also following up on a huge police presence in Orange County. This police presence is in the area of where a bus stop shooting happened that left a 70-year-old woman hurt. These two breaking news stories we'll have for you at the top of the 4 o'clock show.
We'll see you.
Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live. You're watching News 6 at 4.
And we want to get right to breaking news here on News 6 at 4. Right now, deputies are investigating a home about a block away from where a 70-year-old woman was shot near a bus stop. But first, a lot of people are calling into our newsroom about this next story. They say they felt a shake of the ground right here in Central Florida.
Yeah, leaders in Lake County just announced its offices will actually be closed for the rest of the day just to be safe over this. It's all from an earthquake that happened near Cuba. It happened around 2 p.m. and according to the U.S. National Weather Service, no tsunami is expected from this 6.1 magnitude quake. So with that, we're going to get right over to meteorologist Jonathan Kegas to tell us the very latest with this.
Yeah, crazy stuff indeed. One of the rarer things that you will see an earthquake in this part of the world, which is part of the reasons why we felt it in Florida. Again, just after 2 o'clock, seconds after 2 o'clock, 6.1 magnitude earthquake just off the northwest tip of Cuba. Again, the waves about 6 miles down. This originated about 6 miles beneath the Earth's surface, so relatively shallow, which helped the waves propagate a little further and help us feel it here along the surface. Now, typically when you're watching about earthquakes, it's not about, they're not happening in this part of the world in the Gulf. If we are looking correctly here, and we've looked back at extensive records, this is the strongest earthquake on record that has formed and that has developed in the Gulf. Again, this is going to be today's 6.1 magnitude earthquake. Comparatively speaking, we had one similar back in September 10th in 2006. That one registered 5.9 magnitude on the Richter scale. February 10th, 2006 of 5.2. And then before all of that, the one of record back in 1973 of 5.0 magnitude earthquake. So this is rare. Again, there's not many of these in recorded history because the fault line itself runs right through southern Cuba, then button hooks down and then works its way through parts of Central America. That does the Caribbean plate, kind of slides back and forth along the North American plate, maybe an old fault line there from millions and millions of years ago that just felt enough tug and ruptured again to create that 6.1 magnitude earthquake off the northwest side of Cuba. We're going to have much more perspective, of course, as we move forward and get more information from the USGS as we continue to track this very rare situation indeed in Central Florida, guys.
Yeah, so odd for us to be talking
Very.
about this. Jonathan, thank you. Now, just to bring you up to speed on this, that 6.1 magnitude earthquake hit off the west coast of Cuba right around 2 o'clock this afternoon. Now, despite that being more than 400 miles away from Central Florida, tons of people here still felt it. And they've been calling in and writing to us about it all day. There have been no reports of major damage or injuries here in Florida, but like we told you a few minutes ago, Lake County did announce its offices would be closed for the remainder of the day. And there is no threat, as Jonathan said, for tsunami. You can be among the first to get updates on stories just like this one. Make sure you have our News 6 app downloaded so you have breaking news alerts turned on. Find it for free in your app store by searching WKMG. And we're also staying on top of more breaking news this afternoon. Deputies are surrounding a home in Orlando's Azalea Park neighborhood.
Yeah, you can see the scene very active right now. This is near Flanders Drive. It's just blocks away from a shooting at a bus stop that left a 70-year-old woman on Eager Drive and Hager Way badly hurt. So your Orange County community correspondent Jana Menahal joins us live now. Jana, at last check, you saw at least one officer with his rifle drawn. What's going on now?
That's right. I'm keeping an eye on the scene right now. I'm going to actually just go ahead and step out of the way so you can get a clear shot of what we're looking at here. Since we've been out here this morning, we were first sent right over to that block at a bus stop on Egan Drive. Now, when we got there, we saw a very similar scene with crime scene tape up, Orange County deputies there, and we were told during that shooting, did not have a shooter in custody. That individual was still on the move, on the run. We then came over here to this block. Here is very quickly developed now. We have multiple
Jana is actually having
We just got word from
difficulties
Orange County
with her microphone. We'll have to check back in with her, but just for those tuning in, she is on the scene where there's a heavy police presence. Deputies surround a home blocks away from a bus stop shooting that left a 70-year-old woman hurt. We'll have to check back in with Jana once those technical difficulties are worked out. But in the meantime, I'm going to tell you this, some sad news. We're learning more about the father who shot and killed his 1- and 2-year-old kids inside an apartment all before shooting and killing himself. Now, this happened Friday night at the Lakeside Apartments in Orange County that is right off Holden Avenue in South OBT. Today, deputies identified the man as 33-year-old Brian Watts and the kids as 2-year-old Tiana and 1-year-old Jelaya Watts. Now, we're learning Jelaya would have actually been turning 2 on the 22nd. And Friday, deputies say they responded to a call about a man with a gun chasing a woman. Once deputies arrived, that woman was not hurt, but she did tell them, though, she was worried about the safety of her kids inside an apartment nearby. Authorities say they heard gunshots and forced their way inside of the unit, and that's when they say they found those small kids with gunshot wounds. Sadly, both those kids later died at the hospital. Your Orange County community correspondent Mike Valenti is taking a closer look at the father's past. He'll be sharing those details coming up in the next half hour.
Jury selection has started for the trial of the Brevard County man accused of starting the deadly Palisades fire in Los Angeles last year. 12 people died and thousands of homes were destroyed in that devastating fire. It's now considered one of the most destructive fires in California history. Prosecutors say Jonathan Renderneck started a fire on New Year's Day in 2025. It flared up days later, leading to the Palisades fire. He was arrested several months later at a home here in Melbourne. Renderneck's lawyer calls the government's case slanted and says all the evidence will soon come out. He is facing up to 45 years in prison if he is convicted.
Right now, we're working to learn more details about 2 separate shootings right down the road from one another in Sanford. Police say it happened overnight Sunday. They say they got the first call about a shooting on historic Goldsboro Boulevard and Mangostoun Avenue. Police say they found someone hurt and took that person to the hospital. But then they got a second call from 911 about a shooting right down the road near Pomegranate Avenue. There, they say they found a 32-year-old man dead. Police say they later found a person of interest with a gun. He's now at the hospital for mental health concerns. Police say they don't know if the shootings are connected, but they also say both of these cases are still under investigation. They are right now asking for those with info on these cases to call the Sanford Police Department or Crime Line, where you can remain anonymous. The number to Crime Line is 800-423-TIPS.
Well, it is a somber week for many here in Central Florida. This Friday marks 10 years since the Pulse nightclub shooting. Today, a visual reminder was unveiled at City Hall, just one of several events taking place across the area this week. Those ribbons put up as leaders got an update on the permanent Pulse Memorial. News 6's Stephanie Rodriguez was there.
Ribbons to remember the 49 lives lost at Pulse nightclub now wave in the wind outside Orlando City Hall, almost 10 years after one of America's deadliest mass shootings. These prayer ribbons have been brought to Orlando every year since the tragedy.
While these ribbons were put up as a way to remember what happened on June 12, 2016, we learned more about the city's plans for a permanent memorial.
And so in a very symbolic way, this is the area in which you can come to be surrounded by those angels.
The council got an update on the memorial's design phase. Now it's 60%. While Pulse was torn down in March, we now know that parts of the building will live within the memorial through concrete that's being used from it.
There were many of the family members that did not actually want the building demolished because their child had died there, and they felt like their soul was there. So in this way, we were able to preserve that and keep the buildings in a holistic manner on the site.
And personal items that belong to the angels will also be here, safely on display for visitors to observe in capsules.
Allows the visitor, particularly those that are still going through the grieving process, to commune with that in that space and reflect back out, looking and seeing the survivors' common beyond the tragic site.
Construction on the memorial is set to begin in September, and it's expected to be completed by late 2027. Reporting in Orlando, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
The city will also hold its annual Pulse Remember It ceremony this Friday at First United Methodist Church in downtown Orlando.
In Volusia County now, leaders have reopened the beach toll booth ramp where deputies say a driver smashed into it, killing the worker inside. This crash happened a week ago today, last Monday afternoon at the Dunlawton Beach access ramp in Daytona Beach Shores. Investigators say Deanna Harrell was driving drunk when she slammed into the beach toll booth before crashing into the ocean. That was her truck we just showed you there. That's her pictured in the orange tank top. The driver remains in jail on no bond. Last week, the county started adding extra safety measures in the area, including orange barricades.
Well, it is a big week for space. The world is about to find out who is going to be on the next moon mission tomorrow. NASA will announce the astronauts assigned to the Artemis 3 mission at Johnson Space Center in Houston. Artemis 3 will launch 4 astronauts from Kennedy Space Center in Florida aboard the Orion spacecraft atop the Space Launch System, or SLS rocket. That's that giant rocket. According to NASA, the mission will test critical rendezvous and docking capabilities between Orion and commercial human landing systems needed to deliver astronauts to the lunar surface. Now, you may remember in April, the Artemis 2 astronauts had a successful test flight around the moon. Tomorrow's announcement is set for 11 in the morning. Meantime, did you catch the launch we had this morning?
3, 2, 1, ignition. Engines full power. And liftoff. Go Falcon, go Starlink.
I'm not going to lie, I missed it. It happened just before dawn. SpaceX sent another round of Starlink internet satellites into low Earth orbit from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Following stage separation, the booster successfully landed on the drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. I think at about 6:13 this morning. Now, if you missed this morning's launch, another one is scheduled for Friday. It has a 4-hour launch window between 8:27 in the morning and 12:27 in the afternoon. No matter when you catch it, it's always phenomenal.
I might still be asleep with my 3-month-old. Well, here's what else we're working on for you. Today, the man accused of shooting a stranger in a shopping plaza parking lot goes before a judge.
Yeah, police say it all started as an argument. What we learned in court, that's coming up.
I'm on the Reed in Ormond Beach, where residents are coming to us for answers about what's going to happen to an abandoned resort that's falling apart here after closing in the hurricanes. They can't get answers from the city, but we are today. We'll have what they have to say coming up.
And we're staying on top of this breaking news. Deputies surrounding a home just blocks away from a bus stop shooting that hurt a 70-year-old woman. Everything we're learning from the scene coming up next.
You're watching News 6 at 4 on a busy Monday afternoon. Here's a live look at our camera in Daytona Beach right now. We'll be right back.
This portion of the news is sponsored by True Deals Realty.
We want to get you back to some breaking news happening in Orange County. Deputies have surrounded a house in Orlando's Azalea Park neighborhood. This is near Flanders Way at Faber Drive. They responded to the home hours after deputies said a shooting hurt a 70-year-old woman who was at a bus stop, and that's just about a block away from where this home is located. That was on Egan Drive near Hager Way. First responders took that woman to the hospital, and we're told that she's in critical condition. Deputies are searching for a suspect. It's not clear if the scene around the home is connected to what happened at that bus stop and that shooting, but we'll keep you posted.
I'm Molly Reed, your Volusia County community correspondent. A hurricane-damaged, seemingly abandoned hotel is starting to concern some folks who live nearby here in Ormond Beach. The Old Mackay Resort here sits in the middle of a busy tourist area of Ormond Beach, surrounded by new hotels and businesses. Now, folks who live around here say it's become a major blight for the area, and they can't seem to get any answers on what's going to happen with it. So I started digging in and was finally able just get a response from the city.
It's bad enough from the street, and the beach side's even worse.
Jennifer Bright is one of the people who live near the old resort. It was built in the 50s and closed after Hurricane Milton in 2024. It's since become a destination for YouTube explorers and crime with the trespassing and graffiti.
What's disturbing is the amount of transients coming in and out, and fire calls.
In one of those calls in May, the city told me a fire broke out that resulted in the power being cut to all nearby businesses and homes for several hours.
There's the appearance that nothing's being done to help try to ratify the situation.
I started asking the city for answers 2 weeks ago about what it's doing to hold the building's owner accountable. I was told a special magistrate meeting over code violations would be held. Then that was canceled. After I told the city that I was going to do the story now and gave it the chance to give me any updates on the situation, it went ahead and posted this to social media. It says after the May fire, the city has kept pressure on the owners to clean up the property. The city is giving them a chance to bring it to compliance. Hearing something is being done is relieving, but Bright hopes the city stays on the owners.
Special magistrate hearing, is there another one scheduled? I mean, what's being done? Where the documentation that shows that we're having steps done?
I went back and asked the city about that, and it says that the special magistrate meeting is not being rescheduled because the owners are cooperating right now. If that cooperation suddenly stops, then the city says it will escalate things again. And I tried reaching out to the owner several times, but every email I sent bounced back. A lot of the calls were disconnected, or I didn't get a call back. If we hear from them, we will of course bring you those updates. I'm your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed, News 6.
And we turn now to your forecast with meteorologist Jonathan Kagis. Hate to report that nice weather we had last week is behind us. It's a lot more steamy today.
It is, yeah. Good beach weather, good pool weather for sure. We are still dry, and it should stay that way once we get into tomorrow as well. I think we'll start to increase those rain chances just a smidge tomorrow, and then really by the end of the week, it's going to be a full display on June weather in Central Florida. Right now, 90 in Titusville, Mount Dora. Good evening. We are at 92 degrees. Wildwood, we're back to 91. Ocala, we are situated at 90 as well. Beautifully blue skies out there, just mixed with a few of those passing clouds. That is a live look in downtown Orlando with our Light Orlando delivering Hope Skycam tonight. We have air temperatures back in the low 90s. The breeze is out of the north and east at about 10 to 15 miles an hour, so still pulling in some of that Atlantic air. Nonetheless, it is a little more humid, as we were talking about last week. It wouldn't last too terribly long, of course. We all know that as we venture through the middle portion of June. Oviedo, tomorrow morning, we're starting things back off into the mid-70s, so here comes that humidity again. The 60s are gone, 73 degrees in Wildwood. Ocala, we're going to start things off around 70 degrees tomorrow. Now, high temperatures once again surging back into the lower 90s. Rain chances going up just a little bit. 20%. We'll see a little bit of an afternoon thunderstorm or shower or two back in the mix. Leesburg, we will top out around 91 degrees. Titusville, we're checking in at 88 tomorrow again with that breeze out of the north and east and off of the Atlantic. Air temperature is a touch cooler right along the coast, so it'll put us back to the mid to upper 80s again as that air surges in. Dew point temperatures are not horrible right now. Again, we still don't have that rich humidity just yet. We're hanging tight into the upper 50s. That is because we had the sunshine to help dry us out a little bit in terms of the moisture that's hanging out in our atmosphere. But that is going to change big time again going forward over the next few days. You see the 70s back towards the south. Those are going to work their way back up from south to north. Right now, we do have a few passing clouds again, as mentioned earlier. We took a look at that, the live picture in Orlando. Otherwise, though, we are quiet. All of the active stuff is well towards our north and west. We're quiet over the Gulf. Again, just a few passing clouds, again, working their way around the Keys and back towards the Bahamas. Otherwise, we're looking good. That is going to change a little bit as we get into the day tomorrow. You'll see just a few itty-bitty downpours trying to pop up. We'll keep that flow right off the Atlantic. That's going to be tomorrow at 7 o'clock. And then watch what happens as we get into Wednesday just a little bit. Certainly, you see the action increase to our south. We will see a few more opportunities for thunderstorms Wednesday afternoon as well. Should be mainly to the west of Orlando, again, closer to I-75. And then beyond Wednesday, I think those storm chances really start to bubble back up again, more of our routine summertime pattern that we're accustomed to in Central Florida. On the tropical front, no new development expected over the next 7 days, but the humidity surges back. We're at 91 on Wednesday, lower 90s again on Thursday. You see storm chances start to go back up Thursday afternoon, back to 40%, 60% on Friday, and right on through the weekend, guys.
It was good while it lasted. Thank you, Jonathan. Well, your next job interview could be with an AI avatar, not an actual person.
AI taking over everything. How companies are now using AI in the hiring process before any human ever sees your name, and what you can do to stand out. That's coming up next. Well, as AI changes the way we work, it's also changing how we get hired.
Yeah, more employers are turning to the technology to zero in on the best candidates. CBS's Tina Kraus has the story.
Do you use AI in school?
They're still a few years out from entering the workforce, but these students in London are already grappling with a question changing how people get hired.
What about if you had a robot interviewing you? Would you like that?
For a growing number of job seekers, that first interview isn't with a person at all.
This is a structured interview. I'll be asking you questions.
That's not a recruiter, it's an AI avatar, helping companies weed through a flood of applications, many now AI written. The latest industry data shows nearly 9 in 10 companies are using AI in hiring. About 75% of resumes are filtered before a person sees them, and AI cuts hiring time by up to 50%.
Robots don't have actual feelings, and sometimes they might not understand what they have to do, and it's not as reliable as humans.
But for employers, it's about speed and scale.
We're seeing 3 times more applications globally as a result, probably, of the increase in AI's availability.
Take a picture of the card.
Recruitment firms say AI is verifying identities, asking questions, and scoring responses before a person ever gets involved.
So that they can actually get to the important human elements of the recruitment process, like meeting candidates and talking to hiring managers about who they're looking for.
As AI takes a bigger role in hiring, companies are still figuring out where technology works best and where the human touch matters most. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
And while AI may be screening more candidates than ever, experts say people looking for work still need to stand out the old-fashioned way through experience and, of course, personal connection. Now to terrifying moments right in the middle of a shopping plaza parking lot.
Between not only my coworkers, but just everybody in general on the plaza, because hey, a lot of people come here. Some people come here to eat, some others are going over there to the gym.
Well, the man accused of shooting a stranger during an argument, and what happened when he faced the judge today? That's next.
Authorities say he shot and killed his 2 young daughters before turning the gun on himself. Coming up, what we're learning about Bryant Watts and the legal trouble he was apparently in at the time of the shooting.
Welcome back. We are following two breaking news stories for you right now.
Yeah, the first one is happening in Orange County. Right now, deputies are surrounding a house in Orlando's Azalea Park neighborhood. This is near Flanders Way at Faber Drive. It's just about a block away from a shooting at a bus stop that left a 70-year-old woman on Egan Drive and Hager Way badly hurt. Your Orange County community correspondent Jana Manahalal joins us now live with the latest on what's happening now. Jana.
That's right. So we are, like you said, a block away from where that first shooting happened about 9 a.m. Last check, that 70-year-old woman was in critical condition, and the Orange County Sheriff's Office did not have that shooter suspect in custody at that time. I'm going to step out of the way here so you can see what exactly we're seeing here. You're seeing Orange County Sheriff's Office starting to come right back here. Earlier, there were a lot more deputies here. Within the last hour, they've actually cleared out a majority of them to hopefully start to bring in some SWAT teams. The Orange County Sheriff's Office just told us that they are preparing to serve a search warrant into the house to eventually get an individual out from down past this crime scene tape. So let me clarify really quickly. The scene that we talked about earlier, where a 70-year-old woman was shot and they did not have a suspect in custody, we have not confirmed yet if these two scenes are related. However, they are a block away from each other. I want to give you a look really quickly at what the scene from this morning looked like. We could see that the 70-year-old woman who was at that scene was at a bus stop that neighbors actually told me no longer has a Lynx bus coming to that spot. So it's unclear if she was trying just to take some protection from the sun at the time or she was actually waiting for a bus stop. But the reason we're bringing this to you as breaking news is because this is developing in such a prominent neighborhood. The Azalea Park area is home to many families and one park called Cape Hart Park. It's a few blocks away, about 8 or 9 houses from the first scene we were at Egan Drive. And while this was all developing at about 11:30 this morning, there were still families at that park. I happened to speak to one mom who said she saw Orange County drive past her, but nobody came up to her and said anything.
Crazy. That's terrifying, honestly, especially because we come here all the time with like our kids, and there's people, like we let our kids go around that loop by ourselves and they're biking and stuff. So that's honestly very scary.
Definitely a very scary scene for the families there since that gunman was still on the loose. Again, what we've been hearing and seeing is a few Orange County deputies standing in that cluster right there. They have been on the loudspeaker quite a few times with the message of Orange County Sheriff's Office here, please come out with your hands up. We have not heard a particular name at this point. They have said it in both English and Spanish to try and get an individual or multiple individuals out from a home down there. The Orange County Sheriff's helicopter was up in the air earlier, but we are working to gather more information. When we have it, we'll bring it to you here and on clickorlando.com. For now, live in Orange County, I'm your community correspondent, Jana Manahalal, News 6.
All right, Jana, thank you for that update. And we have more breaking news to tell you about. A lot of people have been calling into our newsroom about this one. They say they felt a shake and the ground move right here in Central Florida. The National Weather Service says this was all stemming from a 6.1 magnitude earthquake that happened around 2 o'clock near Cuba. Leaders say, though, no tsunami is expected from this quake.
Well, the man who deputies say shot and killed his 2 young daughters before killing himself was actually set to go on trial later this month. Your Orange County community correspondent Mike Valenti joins us live outside the county courthouse where, Mike, this man's case came before a judge just last week.
Ashley, that's right. Although he was not here at the courthouse himself, Bryant Watts did have a pretrial conference on a misdemeanor battery charge just last Thursday. It was the very next day, last Friday, when authorities say he shot and killed his 2 young daughters. 2-year-old Tiana Watts and her sister, 11-month-old Jalea Watts, are pictured here on a GoFundMe page set up shortly after they were killed. Jalea would have turned a year old on June 22nd. Orange County Sheriff's deputies say the children's killer is their father, 33-year-old Bryant Watts. Charged with misdemeanor battery, Watts had his trial scheduled for June 23rd, a date that was set last Thursday during a pretrial conference that Watts himself did not attend. The battery charge stems from November when Watts was accused of hitting his girlfriend in the face. Orlando police at the time said Watts and the victim were fighting in a car and that she, quote, got out of the vehicle with her 5-month-old daughter and he got out and took the baby and left. That arrest affidavit for Watts stated that he was a convicted felon. However, he did not have any prior convictions for battery. It continues, quote, "He does have previous weapons charges and a history of violence." Of course, guys, the most pressing question looming over all of this is what drove Bryant Watts to kill his two young daughters, Tiana and Jalea. It's unclear if we will ever know the answer to that very important question. I'm your Orange County community correspondent, Mike Valenti, reporting outside the Orange County Courthouse. Back to you.
Sad situation all the way around. Mike, thank you. Today, the man accused of shooting a stranger in a shopping plaza parking lot faced a judge. He will stay in jail, though, on no bond. We were there when police took that man to jail yesterday, and now he is facing some serious charges. Police say the shooting started from an argument. It happened in the Ollie's parking lot on Saxon Boulevard. This is in Orange City. It happened on Saturday. News 6's Jarrell Baker shares what he's learning about the man's arrest.
Now, we did catch the moments when that suspect was taken into an Orange City police vehicle and taken to the Volusia County Jail. A man accused of opening fire during a parking lot dispute in Orange County is now behind bars. Police say 21-year-old Joseph Aveles turned himself in Sunday afternoon, just 24 hours after investigators say he shot a 46-year-old man in an Ollie's parking lot. According to the police, the shooting happened Saturday morning outside Ollie's on Saxon Boulevard after an argument between the two strangers escalated into gunfire. Leah Philman says that she and her family were planning to visit the plaza around the same time.
Back in the day, it wasn't any to be worrisome about just walking around. Now you have to look over your shoulder.
Police say that the victim was shot in the lower back. Investigators said that Aveles and a group with him jumped into a black Mazda and took off. Gabriel Pinzon, who works at Najitos Mexican Grill near Ollie's, said the violence is rare in the area, but the incident is still concerning.
It worries me, not only my coworkers, but just everybody in general on the plaza, because a lot of people come here. Some people come here to eat. Some others are going over there to the gym.
The victim was taken to a local hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. At last check, he remained hospitalized. The suspect is facing a charge of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. Police say that he could also face additional charges because he did damage a vehicle during the shooting. Here in Orange City, Jarrell Baker, News 6.
Well, Lake County could be the next to shut down schools, all because of declining enrollment. In just a few hours, the school leaders will be talking about this. The plan would be to close Oak Park Middle in Leedsburg and combine it with Carver Middle, which is about 3 miles away. Supporters say students would have more opportunities since the small enrollment at the two schools limits the number of special programs that can be offered. Just last week, the district held meetings to get the input from the public. Tonight, school board leaders will discuss the potential consolidation plan that's getting underway at 6.
Well, deputies say when they tried to stop a man on a motorcycle late at night with no lights and no license plate, he just took off. But it didn't play out the way you might think.
Has been updated.
Flagler County deputies shared this dash cam video. They say 33-year-old Brian Swartz refused to stop for them. This was just before 2:30 Friday morning. But they're not calling it a pursuit because they say he wasn't actually speeding. Instead, he topped out at about 40 miles an hour before dropping down to 15.
Brian, Flagler County Sheriff's Office, stop. We know it's you. You're under arrest. Just give it up, man. Just stop. Don't make this any worse.
They gave him a little pep talk. Deputies arrested Swartz for several charges, including fleeing and eluding. The Flagler County Sheriff says Swartz has been arrested 16 times since 2016, and he has served multiple sentences in state prison.
Not a whole lot of dash in that dash cam video. Well, heads up for drivers now. A big detour just started today, and it's going to be in place for a while, we understand. We're talking about crews closing a stretch of Carter Street from Tampa Avenue all the way to OBT, Orange Blossom Trail. So that includes the intersection with Rio Grande Avenue. The shutdown is going to be in place all the way until the end of July. It is all part of a massive $218 million project now underway to widen the 408 nearby and improve the roads around the highway. The overall project is set to take until 2029 to complete. Well, a popular Target baby wipe is under recall because tests flagged a potentially harmful bacteria. We're going to show you exactly what to look out for coming up.
Loosening restrictions to attract investments. I'm Stephanie Rodriguez. The changes that the city of Orlando is considering to try to attract developers to one of its downtown historic preservation districts.
And we want to remind you there is more to watch on News 6 Plus. Get caught up on Central Florida's news and weather at a time that works for you, 9 o'clock every night. Go on patrol with Trooper Steve. Get clear on Florida politics and celebrate the best of Central Florida with the News 6 Insiders. You can watch it all right now. Just get the News 6 Plus app loaded under your smart TV. You can download our streaming app for free. Search WKMG in your smart TV's app store. It's also available on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Original Mattress Factory.
Choosing profit over preservation. That's how some people feel about a new change the city of Orlando is considering. I'm Stephanie Rodriguez reporting in downtown. The city is considering a moratorium that would loosen the restrictions when it comes to changing and even potentially demolishing buildings in this downtown historic preservation district. But critics tell me that the city is able to breathe life into this area while respecting its history.
So it's almost like this is coming down to money. There's no denying that.
Jeff Thompson is ready to share his thoughts no matter the cost.
I've been Historic Preservation Board member for 18 years. I'm the current chair. After Monday, I don't know if I'll still be on the board or not.
He wasn't thrilled to learn about the proposed ordinance that would limit the Citizen Board's role in preservation for the next 36 months. The city has 6 historic preservation districts, including this one here in Paramore. Right now, the Historic Preservation Board reviews any potential changes to structures within the districts, but the city is considering pausing this specific review process. If approved, the board wouldn't have to sign off on those proposals. But it would only apply here in the Downtown Historic Preservation District because the city believes that developments here are being impeded by the regulations of the Preservation Board. But Thompson disagrees and says even though there is an approval process, the board is agreeable.
Try to be progressive. We consider ourselves preservation redevelopment.
And that the city still has to approve their decisions.
So that's their opportunity to say, Historic Preservation Board, we want to let the applicant do this.
Demolition would still need to be signed off on, but Thompson worries without the board, it will be much easier to do. Instead, he believes Orlando should let recent changes play out to allow downtown time to flourish.
They're trying to rein in the bar culture. That's all moving in the right direction, but blaming historic preservation is not the right direction.
The city of Orlando tells me that despite a $200 million investment from the Downtown Action Plan, that a lot of the buildings here are still vacant or underutilized, and that's why the city is considering this moratorium. I have the full statement from them over at clickorlando.com. Reporting in downtown Orlando, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
Deputies are sharing the moment they rescued a woman who was floating face down in the water.
The Volusia Sheriff's Office sharing this body cam video from Saturday morning at New Smyrna Beach. They say they pulled this woman ashore. She was unresponsive and she did not have a pulse. Well, that's when two deputies immediately began performing CPR and they were able to bring the 68-year-old woman back to life.
Big deep breaths if you can hear me, girl, okay? Squeeze my hand if you can feel it. Keep going. There we go. Keep breathing. Come on.
An absolute miracle. Deputies say first responders took the woman to the hospital. They shared the video as a reminder to beachgoers. They say bystanders, they saw what happened and quickly told deputies, which can make all the difference. If you see something, say something.
For sure. And if you can help, definitely help.
Yeah.
You see that dramatic scene play out in movies, and it kind of reminds you of something just like that. Thank goodness they knew exactly what to do.
Agreed.
All right, turning now to our forecast with meteorologist Jonathan Kegas. Jonathan, the weekend was chef's kiss.
Awesome, for sure. Yeah, you don't get that much the humidity to go away for that long in early June, for sure. It is coming back, don't you worry. Over the next couple of days, you really start to feel it again as we warm things up. Certainly a hot day today. Still that rich humidity not back yet, although it's more than what we had last week for sure. It's a live look outside Port Canaveral. Gorgeous shot there with our Launch Credit Union camera tonight. We have air temperatures back in the mid-80s. The breeze off of the Atlantic tonight at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. We're at 84 right now. A little bit cooler in Palm Coast due to the fact we have that breeze out of the east. Compare that to 92, though, in Kissimmee. Back to 92 degrees in Denell and Titusville. We're hanging around 90 degrees on the nose tonight. So a little toasty out there, but certainly, again, not as humid. That starts to change a little bit tomorrow. Air temperatures to start your day again back into the low to mid 70s. Again, that is a sign, a big sign, that humidity is going to start to creep up as the 60s that we woke up to over the weekend, they're going away for a while and likely a very, very long time. High temperatures tomorrow, again, back into the lower 90s. Rain chances holding at about 20%. It's a little bit of an increase to today. They'll go up even further as we move into Wednesday and beyond. Clouds and rain forecast rest of tonight. We're looking pretty good. Again, a stray shower may try to sneak in northern Marion County, northern Flagler County, but most of those are going to fizzle out on their trip down from north to south. Once we get into tomorrow, we start to fire up a couple of downpours, maybe a rogue rumble of thunder with the heating of the day. That's 2 o'clock. You see, most of us, though, are going to be dry. Once we get into Wednesday, though, that is going to change. Rain chances start to get back up into that 30 to 40% ballpark, and then they skyrocket further. We're going to get back into our typical afternoon summertime pattern as we move into Thursday, and especially Friday, and then into your weekend as we move forward. Again, most of us, again, going to be watching that and just doing a little bit of dodging into the afternoon all those days. No one day a total loss. On the tropical front, no new development is expected over the next 7 days. All of the action right now out into the eastern Pacific. We had Boris just named, Christina just named. We're going to watch Christina, though, because it might have the opportunity to do one of those little crossover things. This should stay on the western side of the Gulf, but looking at the potential tropical depression formation model here as we take this forward, notice as we get into Saturday, this is the one that we've been talking about going back to last week, some of that juice trying to jump basins and then work its way into the western Gulf. Again, should stay away from us, but again, that could could happen. Don't be surprised if you do see a little highlight show up from the Hurricane Center. That should not be any player in our forecast. But watching that for the other side of the Gulf. 20% shot for downpours tomorrow. Note the overnight low temperatures. Again, we're back into the 70s, 91 degrees on Wednesday with a 40% shot for scattered thunderstorms in the mix. Same deal for Thursday. That goes up a little bit, and those lower 90s, they are back, and they are here to stay for quite some time. Morning temperatures, guys, getting started off into the mid-70s. That humidity is coming back.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Complaints of eye and skin irritation. Now Target is pulling certain baby wipes.
Which packs are impacted by this and how to get your money back coming up next. But on your screen now is a live look at Mount Dora. You are watching News 6. We'll be right back.
Coming up in the morning, raising the gas tax. One local county is considering it even with the current prices. Find out how much more you could be paying.
Plus, the newest plan to try to keep bears out of local neighborhoods. We'll see you for News 6 Mornings starting at 5.
I'm News 6 anchor Lauren Melendez. A baby wipe recall, this is serious, and a potential strike right before the World Cup. Let's get over to Caroline Woods in today's Money Matters. This strike, Caroline, could disrupt the games on a global stage.
Yes, because this potential strike is at one of the World Cup's biggest U.S. venues. And as you said, it could disrupt games on the global stage. More than 2,000 hospitality workers at LA's SoFi Stadium have authorized a possible walkout. The union says talks with the stadium's concessions operator have stalled over wages, job protections, and immigration enforcement concerns. Stadium executives say contingency plans are in place. An exact strike timeline wasn't given. however, and the U.S. team's opener is set to kick off at SoFi next week. So that could definitely throw a wrench in the plans.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, wrench is an understatement. We'll be watching for that closely. Watching for this, too. I read this story today, and I mean, my jaw was just on the floor. Health officials say bacteria from specific wipes could cause an infection.
Yes, Target is recalling several batches of baby wipes after tests found this potentially harmful bacteria. The FDA says 2 Up and Up varieties are affected, so that's the brand. They're the fragrance-free and fresh cucumber baby wipes. Health officials warn the bacteria can cause infections, especially through cuts or scrapes. Newborns, infants, and of course people with weakened immune systems face the highest risk of serious illness. The company said it received a number of complaints involving eye and skin irritations. Customers can return the recalled wipes for a full refund. A complete list of affected batches is available on the FDA's website. So make sure to check those baby wipes before wiping, especially if you got them at Target and especially if they're this Up and Up brand.
Absolutely. And I always say, Caroline, too, you may not use them, but odds are you probably know somebody that shops at Target or maybe somebody with a young child. So thank you for keeping us updated.
Definitely.
And remember, for the latest money and consumer news anytime, you can always head to our website, clickorlando.com.
Well, News 6 at 5 is up next, and we're following the aftermath of an earthquake. Some have even felt it across Central Florida.
Yeah, so coming up, some people are asking, how could something like that even happen? And it's a mystery mail scam that left one Central Florida woman flooded with tickets from all across the country. Coming up, why investigators say a man used her Apopka address over and over again, leading to more than 100 fraud charges. Plus,
a fake call triggers a real response. I'm Catherine Silver here at the Central Florida Zoo in Sanford, the latest target of a swatting incident. But we're learning about the investigation and the trend targeting zoos in several states.
and your forecast is just minutes away. Don't forget, you can stream all of our newscasts and live cameras like the one you see right now of Daytona Beach. It's free. You can do it anytime on News 6 Plus. We will be right back.
We're following breaking news now at 5.
Started to feel shaking, so I was staring at him like wondering if he was feeling it too.
Did you feel it? A powerful earthquake near Cuba sent shockwaves across Florida, with viewers reporting shaking here in Central Florida. Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas is tracking where the tremors were felt. And a massive law enforcement response in an Orange County neighborhood hours after a woman is shot at a bus stop. Why deputies are surrounding a home in Azalea Park. Plus,
authorities say he shot and killed his 2 young daughters before turning the gun on himself. Coming up, what we're learning about Bryant Watts and the legal trouble he was apparently in at the time of the shooting.
You're watching News 6 at 5.
And we want to get right to breaking news. Right now, deputies are investigating a home about a block away from where a 70-year-old woman was shot and is now in the hospital. Law enforcement has been outside the home for hours. This is in Orlando's Azalea Park neighborhood. Your Orange County community correspondent Jana Manahalal will have another update in minutes. First, though, also breaking right now, a 6.1 magnitude earthquake off the coast of Cuba sent shaking across parts of Florida this afternoon.
Yeah, it happened around 2 p.m. over 400 miles from the U.S. here in Central Florida. But people from here to South Florida are reporting they felt this. Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas is standing by, joining us now with a look at where the quake hit and why so many people here were able to feel it.
Yeah, a rare event indeed. Typically this does not happen, but it's because of the location and how deep this earthquake was into the Earth's crust. Here are the latest information. 6.1 magnitude earthquake. There's the symbol right there. That was the epicenter, about 64 miles just to the northwest off the tip of Cuba into the southeast corner of the Gulf. Again, happening just seconds after 2 o'clock Eastern. And then shortly thereafter, we felt the shockwaves here all the way in Central Florida, as mentioned, about 400 miles away. Again, happening about 6 miles beneath the Earth's surface. That is a relatively shallow quake, which allows the waves of the earthquake to propagate through the Earth a little bit more efficiently. And that's why we were able to feel that so far away, again, more than 400 miles. It's also a very rare spot for an earthquake to happen. Now, the type of earthquake that happened was on a transform fault, or better known as a strike-slip fault. This is very similar to the one in San Andreas, the San Andreas fault out in California, where the two land masses kind of strike and slip past each other. This is why there was no tsunami generated. Typically, it needed to be a magnitude of 7.0 or greater for 1, and for 2, you get those with the subduction zone ones, where the Earth is actually being thrust up and displaces the water. This time around, again, the Earth is moving back and forth. You have the North American plate kind of drifting back to the west, off to the southwest, and then the Caribbean plate kind of pushing to the east. This is, though, where I have highlighted in red, where typically the most seismic activity happens, because the fault line is right here. So really, really rare that you would get the earthquake to happen further up on the North American plate. But that is where it was felt. And again, because of the rarity of this is certainly one of the strongest, if not the strongest ever recorded, certainly since there's been instruments in the Gulf, recording at 6.1, beating the current record holder from way back in 2006. So rare on many occasions that where it happened, and that we felt it so aggressively, relatively speaking anyway, here in Central Florida, guys.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. And again, some people here in Central Florida say they felt their homes shake.
Viewers from Claremont to Orlando reached out to News 6 after this instance here, and all new at 5. News 6's Alex Cook caught up with one local woman who says she knew something was wrong the moment her house started rumbling.
I'm here in Winter Springs, where I just spoke to a woman who says she saw and felt that earthquake. She says she was sitting in her home right here next to her husband on the couch when all of a sudden everything started shaking.
I started to feel shaking, so I was staring at him like wondering if he was feeling it too. And I look over and I'm watching this like move slowly, and it like falls down, and I'm like still looking at him like, why aren't you feeling this?
People from all over Central Florida are contacting the News 6 Neighborhood Network about this, but we're getting a ton of calls from Claremont. And the Lake County government even said that they're closing their offices for the rest of the day. So from here, I'm heading over to Claremont, and we'll have more reactions about this earthquake coming up on News 6. For now, in Winter Springs, Alex Cook, News 6.
All right, Alex, and we just got an update from Lake County on the precautionary closure of its buildings. We've just learned that all structural inspections are now complete, and the county says all is well. We're told the buildings are safe to reopen, and it will be business as usual tomorrow.
So just to catch you up, if you're just now tuning in, there was a 6.1 magnitude earthquake striking off the west coast of Cuba at around 2 this afternoon. Now, even though the quake hit more than 400 miles away, folks from across Central Florida say they still felt the shaking, with calls and messages pouring all into the newsroom this afternoon. So far, there have been no reports of damage or injuries here in Florida. Once again, Lake County did temporarily close its offices earlier today, but they are back open. Structural assessments were complete. Officials say there is no tsunami threat. Now, we're also following breaking news right now in Orange County, where deputies have a home surrounded in Azalea Park.
Yeah, this is happening near Flanders Drive, just blocks from a shooting at a bus stop that left a 70-year-old woman seriously hurt. Deputies have flooded that area, and at last check, officers were seen with rifles drawn outside a house. Your Orange County community correspondent Jana Manahalal has been out there live all day. So, Jana, what are you seeing right now?
Actually, what I'm seeing right now is breaking right now. We're seeing the SWAT vehicles come in right behind me. I'm going to move out of the way just so you can see what we're dealing with right now. That means that they have just gotten that search warrant fulfilled. They are going to go inside of the home. We are going to go ahead and just pan a little bit away. We cannot show, out of courtesy for the Orange County Sheriff's Office, the SWAT team actually go inside of the home, but you can see that they did just come and drive down that street to head into the home. I'm going to bring you back just a little bit closer to the right-hand side right now, where you can get a shot of some more Orange County deputies at the moment. But yes, everything that you have heard so far is correct. We are following up on a shooting that happened at 9 o'clock this morning, a block away from us on Egan Drive. That was a 70-year-old woman who was shot, and at last check, Orange County Sheriff's deputies did not have a suspect in custody at that time. That meant the shooter was still on the move. I want to show you some video really quickly of what that scene looked like earlier. It appears that the woman was waiting at a Lynx bus stop that neighbors tell me is actually non-operational right now, so it's unclear if the woman was just waiting for a bus or trying to get some protection from the shade. But neighbors here say this is a relatively safe area. One gentleman who lives on this street, who cannot go back to his home as of right now, said that deputies tried to show him a picture to get a description of if he knew what the man looked like. And we are also, like they said, in Azalea Park. So we are right near a park where friends, families, neighbor communities go to celebrate the summer holiday. And while we were out there this morning, a family was out there and said Orange County deputies did not give them a heads up that a gunman was still on the loose. So I'm going to bring you now to those two interviews really quickly just so you can hear those.
They asked me if I knew the person. They showed me a picture. The only picture they had was his backside, and that was pretty much it.
Are you able to give us any kind of description of what he looked like? I know it was from his backside.
He was similar to my build, and he's bald-headed.
Crazy. That's terrifying, honestly, especially because we come here all the time with our kids, and there's people, we let our kids go around that loop by ourselves, and they're biking and stuff. So that's honestly very scary.
So like that mom said, very scary scene. Again, I'm just going to go ahead and step out of the way so you can see what is developing here. Right now, it does not look like SWAT has gone into the home quite yet, so we should be able to still show you what we're seeing here. They just came over the loudspeaker and said, "This is Orange County Sheriff's Office. Please come out with your hands up." Again, we are a little too far away at the moment to hear a name if they are using one. Again, we're working to get you more information right now as it develops, because it's happening very, very quickly. But for now, we're live in Orange County. I'm your community correspondent, Jana Manahalal, News 6.
All right, Jenna, thank you so much. Meantime, a local zoo evacuates after a reported bomb threat. The fear was real, but the sheriff's office says that threat was not.
While they are looking into who is responsible for this, your Seminole County community correspondent is looking into how often this happens and how law enforcement can put a stop to it.
We just got this report from the sheriff's office that says the staff here got a call from an anonymous man Sunday afternoon who claimed there were pipe bombs planted inside the zoo. But law enforcement say the whole thing was a hoax. The day after the swatting call, the Central Florida Zoo in Sanford was back to business as usual.
All safe, all good.
We met CEO Richard Glover, who says he's grateful that even though the threat wasn't real, the response was. Deputies swept the property and found nothing, and the few people still in the park were safely evacuated.
Anytime we get something like that, we have to take it seriously.
When I started looking into this, I immediately saw that zoos in several states have received similar threats that have all been deemed to be non-credible. Is that something you were aware of?
It is.
Glover says the zoo recently reviewed their safety protocols with staff after zoos in several states were also targeted.
It's causing widespread panic across the country.
Dr. Stephen Holmes is a professor and criminal justice expert at UCF.
From what we understand, there's like 4 different types of people that engage in swatting. There's the thrill seekers, the people do it for revenge, the ideological driven, and there's the opportunists.
He says swatting is a growing problem that is not easy to solve.
You have to understand why they're doing it, who's doing it, and it gets really difficult to do.
How does law enforcement stop swatting from happening?
We have to make an example of those who engage in this type of crime. It's got to be a very serious offense, and the penalties have to be not just prison time, but serious prison time. This is up there. This is one of the most serious things that we face today.
The Department of Homeland Security says swatting calls and hoax threats are a daily occurrence. In fact, the same day that the Seminole County Sheriff's Office was called to the zoo, they also responded to another unrelated swatting call in a Sanford neighborhood. This report mentions there were several other swatting bomb threats in the county earlier in the day. I'm Catherine Silver, News 6.
As Central Florida marks 10 years since the tragedy at Pulse nightclub, I sat down with Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer as he reflects on that horrible night and the aftermath.
Can you just take me back to the early morning hours of June 12, 2016? I'm assuming you were at home, sound asleep.
I had gone to bed probably around 10ish on Saturday night and got a phone call a little bit before 3 o'clock from Deputy Chief Bobby Anzueto, and he said, "Mayor, I have to inform you that there's been a shooting at the Pulse nightclub. There's multiple casualties and it's turned into a hostage situation. Your driver is on the way to pick you up." When I hung up, the first thing I did was call my then 26-year-old son. And I don't know whether he'd ever been to Pulse or not, but he was fortunately home in bed, so it freed me to do all the things that I needed to do. There was a lot of law enforcement in there, not just the OPD, but there were 3 sheriffs, there was FBI, FDLE, so it was a fairly crowded scene, and I got debriefed on what had happened.
At that point, you had been the mayor of Orlando for more than a decade. Had you ever received a call like that?
Nothing comparative to that at all. And really, if you look at it, other than Vegas, it remains the largest mass shooting in American history.
When you arrived on scene, did you know at that point how bad it really was?
No, I had no idea, and really I didn't understand the whole magnitude until after the first press conference, because we didn't have a total on the people that had died that night.
I vividly remember your press conference.
We have not 20 but 50 casualties.
And I thought, well, those must be injuries. A few minutes later, we discovered, no, that's how many people have died in this.
There are another 53 that are hospitalized.
That was probably the toughest thing that I had to do in the entirety of the whole process, because just getting that in your mind that there are 49 people that have been killed on that spot. And there were seasoned journalists there, and they were in shock. I could tell on their faces when I described that.
And coming up tomorrow, we will have more with the mayor as he reflects on the aftermath of the tragedy and the incredible response from the community. We also have several stories on our website profiling the response and the community and the progress on a permanent memorial. Just go to clickorlando.com/pulse.
Well, now we turn to this. Hundreds of traffic tickets and toll violations just kept showing up at one woman's home in Apopka, and they were all addressed to strangers.
Somebody else's name with your address?
Right. It all is addressed to my house with somebody else's name.
Coming up, the man now behind bars accused of fraudulently titling vehicles using her address.
Can you guys help me with this? Because something illegal is going on here.
This Central Florida woman contacted News 6 investigator Mike DeForest 2 years ago after receiving hundreds of suspicious letters in her mailbox. Now, as a direct result of Mike's Emmy award-winning investigation, law enforcement has just made an arrest. Dane Johnson is facing nearly 130 fraud charges.
Yeah, you see him pictured here behind us. The Florida Highway Patrol, which obtained the arrest warrant, says it was the team here at News 6 that uncovered the fraudulent activity. So News 6 investigator Mike DeForest explains how Johnson was caught.
This is what it typically looks like.
Like this?
Like this.
Patty Malone called me 2 years ago concerned about this suspicious mail that was piling up at her home near Apopka. But it's somebody else's name with your address?
Right. It all is addressed to my house with somebody else's name.
At the time, Malone had received more than 600 letters. Most were toll violations and traffic tickets. My News 6 investigation identified more than 70 different people whose vehicles were caught on camera committing traffic violations and dodging tolls in Florida, New York, New Jersey, and all over the country. Malone does not know who owns these cars and does not recognize the people driving them.
Regina Lakatos.
But their citations were mailed to her house.
I want to get to the bottom of it because somebody's doing something illegal.
2 years ago, I shared my findings with the Florida Highway Patrol. Now, as a direct result of my News 6 investigation, FHP has arrested this man, Dane Johnson. He is now facing 129 counts of motor vehicle title fraud. State records show Johnson owned a company called Fast and Reliable Car Titling Services. Johnson reportedly told FHP investigators that for a $25 fee, he would come down to this Orange County tag agency designated for dealers only and submit a vehicle title application on the owner's behalf. Most of Johnson's customers lived out of state, according to FHP, meaning their vehicles could not be titled in Florida. So instead of putting the owner's home address on the title application, investigators say Johnson wrote down Malone's address, time after time after time. It's still unclear why these vehicle owners may have wanted a Florida title. As my investigation revealed, the owner of this van was wanted by police in Illinois, and several others had the same names as suspected criminals accused of petty theft, grand theft, forgery, and identity theft. So the big question, why Malone's home here in Apopka? Well, county records confirm Johnson used to live here. He owned this house about 20 years ago.
I was shocked. I was upset. I was angry.
Malone continues to receive mail addressed to other people, but is relieved that Johnson has been arrested.
I would love to just understand why. I would love to have that conversation with him. Like, why me? Why did you pick me? I didn't do anything to you.
Johnson is now out of jail as he awaits trial. I stopped by his current home and tried reaching him by phone, but did not receive a response. If convicted, Johnson faces up to 5 years in prison for each fraudulent title application. Mike DeForest, News 6.
Just crazy when you saw the mounds of mail that lady was receiving.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Well, time now to get a check of the forecast. That nice, refreshing weather is behind us, and that humidity is here for now.
Yeah, it's coming back, and we're going to get it back even further over the next couple of days, guys. We have temperatures now on the steamy side, lower 90s in Orlando, Mount Dora. Good evening. We are at 92 degrees. The Villages, we're hanging around 90. Doing a little cooler right along the coast. That breeze is off of the Atlantic today. It's helping to keep things relatively cooler anyway. That'll put us at 82 in New Smyrna, 84 degrees for us in Melbourne. Miko, good evening. We are back to 84 degrees as well. Live look outside downtown Orlando with our Light Orlando Delivering Hope Skycam. A few of those higher, thicker clouds hanging around today, filtering out the sunshine as we speak right now. We're back to the lower 90s again at the airport. The breeze out of the east-northeast at about 10 to 15 miles an hour under that mainly cloudy sky right now. As mentioned, the humidity is coming back. Lower 70s tomorrow to start, some of us even into the mid-70s in Titusville, Oviedo. We are at 74, closer to 80 degrees on the Space Coast. That is the telltale sign that we are going to wake up to a little more humidity tomorrow. Now here's a look at your afternoon. Temperatures tomorrow going to get back into the upper 80s to the lower 90s. We're at 91 in Leesburg, 85 in New Smyrna Beach, 88 degrees in Titusville. Rain chances holding at about 20% tomorrow, going up a little bit from where they were today. Just a few of those higher thin clouds out there. We'll try to get rid of those overnight. Otherwise, nice and clear through the Gulf today. We're back just a few extra downpours hanging off the southeast corner of the Florida Peninsula. But it's the humidity that's starting to come back, although we're doing all right through central Florida. Dew point temperatures into the mid-50s. That's your maximum comfort again when you're back to the low to mid-50s. It will change, though, through the overnight. You see dew point temperatures in the lower 70s to the North Gulf Coast, lower 70s into the southeast corner of Florida. It's the low to mid-70s. That's pretty much what we have every day through the summer to give you some perspective of what that actually feels like. Clouds and rain forecast, that changes for us as well. Once we get into tomorrow, a few stray downpours in the mix. There you go towards 7 o'clock tomorrow. You see, if you look closely here, a couple of downpours. Most of the action into South Florida. Then watch what happens as we get into Wednesday. We'll fire up a few more thunderstorms, especially right along I-95 and then I-75. And then by Thursday, that's when we really start to get back into our more typical summertime pattern. There's about dinner time or at least commute time home on Thursday with scattered thunderstorms pretty much rupturing right on down the interior of the Florida Peninsula. That's the east and west coast sea breeze lighting up with the heating of the day, giving us our typical summertime Florida weather pattern again. 40% shot for thunderstorms on Wednesday. We'll keep that on Thursday as well. That goes up even further as we go into Friday. 60% shot for storms rolling right on through your weekend as those overnight low temperatures warming back up into the mid to upper 70s, guys.
Well, they call it the turkey list, and it's now raising new questions about hundreds of millions in the Florida budget.
Yeah, coming up, who decides what makes the cut and what gets left behind? New at 5, a new report is raising questions about hundreds of millions of dollars in Florida's proposed state budget, including money tied to a future Tampa Bay Rays stadium. Florida Tax Watch says more than $829 million in spending needs closer scrutiny in the more than $114 billion budget that's awaiting final approval. The group's annual turkey list flagged 621 line items, including $50 million for a potential new Rays stadium, along with millions more for projects at FSU and UF. Tax Watch says many items were added with little public discussion.
Because the money appropriated by the legislature belongs to the taxpayers of Florida, the budget process must be transparent and accountable, and every project should receive proper deliberation and public debate.
Governor DeSantis now has line item veto power before the budget takes effect on July 1st.
Well, tonight, a couple in Florida now forced to tear down their flooded home. The couple now says it's been months and they're still fighting for help.
FEMA was making us tear down and not giving assistance because we had insurance.
Why they say FEMA assistance ran out while the bills keep piling up. Plus,
I'm Mallory Reed in Ormond Beach, where residents are coming to us for answers about what's going to happen to an abandoned resort that's falling apart here after closing in the hurricanes. They can't get answers from the city, but we are today. We'll have what they have to say coming up.
Glad you're with us. I'm Lisa Bell.
And I'm Ashley Garrett. You're watching News 6 at 5. We're following several top stories for you right now. Today, many folks called into the newsroom because they say they felt a shake right here in Central Florida. The National Weather Service says it's all from a 6.1 magnitude earthquake that happened around 2 p.m. near Cuba. That's more than 400 miles away from Central Florida. Leaders say no tsunami is expected from the quake.
Right now, deputies are investigating a home about a block away from where a 70-year-old woman was shot and then taken to a hospital. Law enforcement has been outside for hours outside that home, and SWAT team just moved in within the last half hour. This is happening in Orlando's Azalea Park neighborhood.
10 years after the Pulse nightclub mass shooting, city leaders are reflecting on the tragedy and the ongoing push for a permanent memorial for the 49 victims. Mayor Buddy Dyer calling finishing the project one of his top priorities as commemoration events continue across the city this weekend. So the man who authorities say shot and killed his 2 young girls before killing himself was set to go on trial later this month.
It happened Friday night at the Lakeside Apartments in Orange County. That's right off Holden Avenue and South OBT. Your Orange County community correspondent Mike Valenti joins us now live outside the county courthouse, where this man's case went before a judge just last week.
That's right. In fact, Bryant Watts had a pretrial conference on a battery charge just last Thursday. It was the very next day, last Friday, when authorities say Bryant Watts shot and killed his 2 young daughters.
2-year-old Tiana Watts and her sister, 11-month-old Jalea Watts, are pictured here on a GoFundMe page set up shortly after they were killed. Jalea would have turned a year old on June 22nd.
Orange County Sheriff's deputies say the children's killer is their father, 33-year-old Bryant Watts. Charged with misdemeanor battery, Watts had his trial scheduled for June 23rd, a date that was set last Thursday during a pretrial conference that Watts himself did not attend. The battery charge stems from November, when Watts was accused of hitting his girlfriend in the face. Orlando police at the time said Watts and the victim were fighting in a car and that she, quote, got out of the vehicle with her 5-month-old daughter and he got out and took the baby and left. That arrest affidavit for Watts stated that he was a convicted felon. However, he did not have any prior convictions for battery. It continues, quote, he does have previous weapons charges and a history of violence. Back here live outside the Orange County Courthouse, of course, the most pressing question looming over all of this, what drove Bryant Watts to shoot and kill his 2 young toddlers? It's unclear if we will ever know the answer to that question. I'm your Orange County community correspondent reporting outside the Orange County Courthouse. Back to you.
Well, right now at 5, jury selection is underway in the trial of a man accused of beating a 3-year-old boy to death in a case that shocked Brevard County. Joshua Mann, seen here on the left-hand side of your screen, is facing the death penalty if convicted in the 2021 murder of his girlfriend's son, Jameson Nance, in West Melbourne. Prosecutors say the toddler endured weeks of abuse before his death. Mann initially told investigators the child drowned in a bathtub, but an autopsy determined that was not the case. Jameson's mother, Erica Dotson, was also charged, accused of failing to stop the abuse. We know a mistrial was declared in her case last year, and her new trial is set to begin next month. New at 5, Ocoee police say a man was driving more than 100 miles per hour with a 2-year-old in the back seat. Police say this man on your screen, Christopher Guptar, was racing another car down North Clark Road Sunday night, hitting 109 miles per hour in a 45-mile-per-hour zone. Now, police say the 2 cars were weaving through traffic and making dangerous lane changes before they tried to pull them over. Police say the other driver took off, but Guptar got stuck at a red light. Guptar was arrested on several charges, including child neglect, reckless driving, racing on a highway, and driving more than 50 miles over the speed limit.
A hurricane-damaged abandoned resort in Ormond Beach is raising concerns from people who live nearby. We're talking about the Mackay Resort. It's right off South Atlantic Avenue. It closed permanently in 2024, but neighbors say it's become a hotspot for crime and it's falling apart. Your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed has been pushing the city for answers on what could be done.
The old Mackay Resort here sits in the middle of a busy tourist area of Ormond Beach, surrounded by new hotels and businesses. Now, folks who live around here say it's become a major blight for the area, and they can't seem to get any answers on what's going to happen with it. So I started digging in and was finally able to just get a response from the city.
It's bad enough from the street, and the beach side's even worse.
Jennifer Bright is one of the people who live near the old resort. It was built in the 50s and closed after Hurricane Milton in 2024. It's since become a destination for YouTube explorers and crime with the trespassing and graffiti.
What's disturbing is the amount of transients coming in and out, and fire calls.
In one of those calls in May, the city told me a fire broke out that resulted in the power being cut to all nearby businesses and homes for several hours.
There's the appearance that nothing's being done to help try to ratify the situation.
I started asking the city for answers 2 weeks ago about what it's doing to hold the building's owner accountable. I was told a special magistrate meeting over code violations would be held. Then that was canceled. After I told the city that I was going to do the story now and gave it the chance to give me any updates on the situation, it went ahead and posted this to social media. It says after the May fire, the city has kept pressure on the owners to clean up the property. The city is giving them a chance to bring it to compliance. Hearing something is being done is relieving, but Bright hopes the city stays on the owners.
Special magistrate hearing, is there another one scheduled? I mean, what's being done? Where the documentation that shows it, that we're having steps done?
I went back and asked the city about that, and it says that the special magistrate meeting is not being rescheduled because the owners are cooperating right now. If that cooperation suddenly stops, then the city says it will escalate things again. And I tried reaching out to the owners several times, but every email I sent bounced back. A lot of the calls were disconnected, or I didn't get a call back. If we hear from them, we will of course bring you those updates. I'm your Volusia County Community Correspondent Molly Reed, News 6.
And tonight, some Knicks fans are furious after a popular watch party outside Madison Square Garden was canceled for Game 3 of the NBA Finals.
People want to see, they want to feel a little bit of the action. So it's sad. It's sad, but we got to be safe.
The cancellation comes as President Trump is expected to attend tonight's game, making him the first sitting president to go to the NBA Finals match. We know that extra barriers are set up with K-9s on patrol outside New York's Madison Square Garden. Trump is a longtime fan of the Knicks, who have won the first 2 games against the San Antonio Spurs in the best-of-7 series.
In addition to personnel, our security posture combines drones as well as advanced counter-drone technology, protective intelligence, specialized tactical teams, and operational resources that allow us to identify and address potential threats while maintaining a welcoming environment for fans.
Officials say the watch parties outside MSG are expected to return for Game 4.
A couple on the other side of the state says their flood insurance was too much, yet not enough. Nearly 2 years after Hurricane Helene severely damaged their home, they are still in limbo. And now at 5, reporter Annie Krall with our CBS affiliate in Tampa has their story.
That's the sound of 6 to 8 inches of water going into Brennan and his wife Katie McDonald's home in September of 2024.
So it didn't come in through the doors, it came up through the floorboards.
Also losing 2 cars, temporarily preventing Katie from going to work as a Pinellas County special needs teacher.
There were 2 bedrooms over here, one there. That was our bedroom with my office that I was working at.
Damage was more than 49% of the home's value, so FEMA told them to tear it down.
FEMA, I can't say has done really too much at all. It took us probably 1.5 years to finish the insurance settlement.
This University of Tampa hockey coach said they stopped getting FEMA housing assistance about 3 months after Hurricane Helene, told by the organization they weren't eligible to continue. Yet the McDonald's have spent months trying to prove they are, working their way through recovery programs, including Elevate Florida.
FEMA was making us tear down. So insurance wasn't covering us to tear down. They were only covering what was damaged by the flood, but FEMA was making us tear down and not giving assistance because we had insurance.
Staying with friends and family the last 2 years and currently paying rent to one of Brennan's former U Tampa hockey teammates.
Paying rent and a mortgage at the same time makes it difficult to move forward. You know, we just got married. We're looking to start our life together, and it's difficult when you're not able to save for the things you want to be able to do in 5, 10, 20 years.
That was Annie Krall reporting. The couple says they are still trying to navigate the recovery process while paying both rent and a mortgage as they work to rebuild their home and their future after Helene. Temperatures are rising, and a reminder to protect your pet.
It's vital they don't stay in the car alone. With temps climbing, a pet alone in a car, especially with windows up, can turn deadly. So today on Trooper Steve on Patrol, Steve gives us some advice on how to save trapped pets as we get a demonstration of what to do if you see one in this situation.
Summer is knocking on our door, and we talk about no people in cars all the time, unattended, because it can get hot. But for whatever reason, there is something in a lot of people's head that's like, well, I'm just leaving my dog, my cat, in the car for just a second, just a moment, and I'll be right back. If we won't do it to people, why are we doing it to our pets?
And it's basically like a captive bolt. You basically are going to put this window breaker point against the window and pull back on this heavy weighted spring, and then you let it go, and hopefully the window will crack. So I'm actually going to go right here. We're going to start there. I would actually have you guys just back up a little bit for safety, and we'll see what we can do, okay? There we go.
No matter what, guys, I love traffic, but I think I love pets more.
So, of course, there are other things to keep in mind if you ever see a trapped pet. You can find it all under this article on our website, clickorlando.com. And you can go on patrol with Trooper Steve weekdays at 2:30 in the afternoon and 8:30 at night on News 6 Plus and the News 6 app.
Hundreds of thousands of Florida homes may be more at risk for flooding than you realize.
And with hurricane season in full swing, it's something to be aware of. So coming up, why some Central Florida communities are not considered high risk by FEMA. Jonathan.
Hotter day today. The humidity is not far behind as we move forward this week. Rain chances also on the rise. I'll pinpoint that part of your forecast coming up at about 5:47.
Loosening restrictions to attract investments. I'm Stephanie Rodriguez. The changes that the city of Orlando is considering to try to attract developers to one of its downtown historic preservation districts.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Shark Coatings.
In 2022, Hurricane Ian alone dropped more than 20 inches of rain in Central Florida. The storm flooded multiple places that never flooded before. Now, we've learned a lot since then, including the fact that you don't need a major hurricane to cause major damage.
Yeah, we've seen neighborhoods that never flood suddenly full of water, even in afternoon thunderstorms. As News 6's Pavlina Osta reports, booming growth could make your house more vulnerable.
My world right now.
Marty DeBlois's world turned into a river 4 years ago.
My wife's car right there was over across the street, got destroyed. My Lexus got destroyed.
Hurricane Ian devastated his Port Orange neighborhood. He now swipes through countless videos recalling the damage.
It was brutal. It was a tough thing to take. And then 2 years later, Milton came.
DeBlois didn't have flood insurance because he didn't know he was at risk. He's not alone.
A lot of Central Floridians don't realize they're at risk of flooding because they don't live along the coast.
According to FEMA, DeBlois does live in a flood zone, but I uncovered nearly 350,000 properties statewide face flood hazards, but are not recognized as high risk in FEMA flood maps. I looked up areas around Central Florida that have flooded repeatedly and then cross-referenced with FEMA's flood map. This list includes Pine Hills, Point Siena, and Union Park, areas FEMA does not consider high risk.
Just 1 inch of flood water causes $25,000 in damage.
Despite this, only 20% of Floridians have flood insurance, and only 6% of homes in Orange, Osceola, Seminole, and Lake counties have a policy. DeBlois's community now requires all homes to be built 6 feet off the ground, but he decided to stay in the 80%.
Well, I'm pretty confident. I mean, I know one thing, we won't need flood insurance.
In Orlando, I'm Pavlina Osta, News 6.
You could just never be too careful, especially with hurricane season. All it takes is one to be so
basically,
damaging.
State officials now say if it rains at your house, you need flood insurance. Yeah. All right, we want to bring in meteorologist Jonathan Kagas now. Looking very nice today, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Just a lot of heat out there.
That's right. Well, the heat is back on. We're going to continue to watch that build over the next couple of days. That is a live look, Port Canaveral, Brevard County. With our Launch Credit Union camera tonight, we have air temperatures back into the mid-80s. Under a mainly clear sky, at least you see some of the higher thin clouds that the salometer can't see. About 10 to 15 miles per hour, the breeze is out of the east, keeping us, relatively speaking, a little cooler on the coast. So right around 90 in Mount Dora, 90 in Wildwood, Groveland, good evening. We are also hanging around 90 degrees. Then we're back to the mid-80s right along the coast, even lower 80s for us in the Palm Coast. Back into Bunnell tonight. Tomorrow morning, this is really the first sign that the humidity continues to creep up, as we'll see our first morning out of the 60s in a few days, at least for interior Central Florida. We're back in the low to mid 70s for most of us, mid to upper 70s, though, right along the coast. Average this time of the year is 71 degrees. Now here's a look at your forecast for the afternoon.
Your forecast is sponsored by Advent Health.
Temperatures tomorrow back in the low 90s. We're at 91 in Webster, 87 though for us in Deltona. Apopka, good evening. We are hanging around 90. Bunnell, we're going to check in tomorrow afternoon at about 86. That breeze out of the east still helping us out a little bit. Rain chances at about 20% tomorrow afternoon. Again, most of us, I think, are going to be on the drier side. Same deal for the evening. You'll see a few stray showers. Try to sneak in mainly for us in the Marion and Flagler County. Otherwise, again, we'll see most of those fizzle back out until we get into tomorrow. That's 2 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon with the heating of the day. We're going to bubble up some thunderstorms, at least try to get some downpours right along I-95. Those will try to push in a little bit, but you see most of those also fizzle out. I really think once we get into Wednesday, and then especially Thursday and Friday, those are going to be the days where our higher rain chances start to creep back up. You see it there. Rain chances go up to about 40% on Thursday and then back to 60% as we move on forward into the end of the work week, into the start of your weekend. On the tropical front, no new development expected over the next 7 days. Again, we were talking last week about the opportunity for maybe a little something trying to get going in the Gulf. Well, here is that little something. Earlier today, Christina was named in the Eastern Pacific, but the opportunity will be for that to kind of cross over, at least its remnant moisture of that, to kind of work its way over into the Western Gulf. You see as we play out this ensemble forecast here, we're looking towards the brighter colors, and you see as we get towards the upcoming weekend, some of that juice may try to get into the Western Gulf, Bay of Campeche region, staying away from Florida at this point anyway, but the opportunity is going to be there. So don't be surprised if you see a little, yellow shaded area from the Hurricane Center. But again, that's nothing to write home about. Just watching that as we might see one of those crossover events that happens every so often. 91 degrees on Wednesday, 40% shot for thunderstorms. Same deal on Thursday. Rain chances going to continue to increase over the next couple of days. And you see the temperatures also staying on the warmer side. 92 on Thursday, staying around 90 Friday, and right on through your weekend.
Well, the future of downtown Orlando's history could soon change.
The decision city leaders are talking about that would make it easier to alter and in some cases demolish buildings in a historic district.
On your screen now, a live look at downtown Orlando. This shot courtesy of our Light Orlando Delivering Hope camera. We got a little bit of cloud cover as we approach 6 p.m. You were watching News 6. We'll be right back.
Coming up in the morning, raising the gas tax. One local county is considering it even with the current prices. Find out how much more you could be paying.
Plus, the newest plan to try to keep bears out of local neighborhoods. We'll see you for News 6 Mornings starting at 5.
Choosing profit over preservation. That's how some people feel about a new change the city of Orlando is considering. I'm Stephanie Rodriguez reporting in downtown. The city is considering a moratorium that would loosen the restrictions when it comes to changing and even potentially demolishing buildings in this downtown historic preservation district. But critics tell me that the city is able to breathe life into this area while respecting its history.
So it's almost like this is coming down to money. There's no denying that.
Jeff Thompson is ready to share his thoughts no matter the cost.
I've been Historic Preservation Board member for 18 years. I'm the current chair. After Monday, I don't know if I'll still be on the board or not.
He wasn't thrilled to learn about the proposed ordinance that would limit the Citizen Board's role in preservation for the next 36 months. The city has 6 historic preservation districts, including this one here in Paramore. Right now, the Historic Preservation Board reviews any potential changes to structures within the districts, but the city is considering pausing this specific review process.
If approved, the board wouldn't have to sign off on those proposals.
But it would only apply here in the Downtown Historic Preservation District because the city believes that developments here are being impeded by the regulations of the Preservation Board.
But Thompson disagrees and says even though there is an approval process, the board is agreeable.
Try to be progressive. We consider ourselves preservation redevelopment.
And that the city still has to approve their decisions.
So that's their opportunity to say, Historic Preservation Board, we want to let the applicant do this.
Demolition would still need to be signed off on, but Thompson worries without the board, it will be much easier to do. Instead, he believes Orlando should let recent changes play out to allow downtown time to flourish.
They're trying to rein in the bar culture. That's all moving in the right direction, but blaming historic preservation is not the right direction.
The city of Orlando tells me that despite a $200 million investment from the Downtown Action Plan, that a lot of the buildings here are still vacant or underutilized, and that's why the city is considering this moratorium. I have the full statement from them over at clickorlando.com. Reporting in downtown Orlando, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
Ginger Gadsden is in the newsroom with what we are working on for News 6 at 6.
Now at 6, a woman in her 70s shot at a bus stop in Azalea Park. Now, hours later, just a block away, deputies and a SWAT team are surrounding a home. This scene going on for more than 5 hours now. Next at 6, your Orange County community correspondent Jana Manahalal has an update for you. Plus, a 6.1 magnitude earthquake near Cuba rattled buildings and shook nerves all the way here in Central Florida. Why so many people were able to feel it right here. And a live look at downtown Orlando from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope camera. You're watching News 6. We'll be right back. Now at 6, everyone is talking about the earthquake that shook Central Florida. It was recorded more than 400 miles away off the coast of Cuba. So why did we feel it here? Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas explains. Also developing right now.
I'm Jana Manahall in Orange County. A scene developing here in Azalea Park neighborhood after a 70-year-old woman was shot and deputies still on the search for the gunman.
A fake call triggers a real response. I'm Catherine Silver here at the Central Florida Zoo in Sanford, the latest target of a swatting incident. But we're learning about the investigation and the trend targeting zoos in several states.
News 6 at 6 starts now.
Our top story tonight, the 6.1 magnitude earthquake in Cuba felt all the way here in Central Florida. We received a ton of phone calls just after 2 o'clock this afternoon, with everyone asking what happened.
Yeah, the quake even caused one Lake County official to close down all of its office buildings. Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas joins us now with what we felt and why we felt that earthquake hundreds of miles away, Jonathan.
Yeah, and if you're just joining us, there's a recap. There was a pretty big earthquake in a pretty rare spot in the southern Gulf, 6.1 magnitude earthquake, stretching about 65 miles, the epicenter just to the northwest of Cuba there. That happened just seconds after 2 o'clock Eastern time. And of course, we got many calls, as Ginger just mentioned, about the shaking. So how did that 6.1 magnitude quake manage to shake some places in Central Florida? Well, first and foremost, it's the proximity. That is a rare location for that earthquake to happen. It is way closer than some of the bigger historic Caribbean quakes that are typically on the southeast side of Cuba, closer to Haiti. There's also a little bit less resistance for that to travel. There's the mountainous regions of Cuba, of Haiti, of Puerto Rico for those shock waves or those seismic waves to pass right on through. There's also the different composition here. It was a very shallow earthquake, about 16 miles beneath the Earth's surface. Those waves were able to travel very efficiently through the type of rock also under the Gulf there. Very, very hard rock, and it allows those waves to propagate much more efficiently. There's again where the quake was, a very rare spot. Typically, your bigger earthquakes, like the ones back in 2010, for example, in Haiti, are happening right along the fault line. Now, that one was a 7.0 magnitude earthquake. That was barely felt in Miami for perspective. Again, all about location, the type of rock, and how deep it was. A very rare day all around, guys.
I'll say, Jonathan, thank you. And people from all over Central Florida are contacting the News 6 neighborhood network about this earthquake.
News 6's Alex Cook met a woman in Winter Springs who describes the moment she knew something was wrong.
I'm here in Winter Springs where I just spoke to a woman who says she saw and felt that earthquake. She says she was sitting in her home right here next to her husband on the couch when all of a sudden everything started shaking.
I started to feel shaking, so I was staring at him like wondering if he was feeling it too, and I look over and I'm watching this like move slowly and it like falls down, and I'm like still looking at him like, why aren't you feeling this?
That was News 6's Alex Cook in Winter Springs. Meantime, over in Lake County, we got an update on the precautionary closure of county buildings. We've just learned all structural inspections are complete and all is well. We're told the county buildings are safe to reopen and it will be business as usual tomorrow.
All right, so let's bring you up to speed on this. That 6.1 magnitude earthquake struck off the west coast of Cuba around 2 o'clock this afternoon. Now, even though the quake hit more than 400 miles away, people all across Central Florida say they still felt the shaking, with calls and messages pouring into the newsroom all afternoon. So far, there have been no reports of damage or injuries here in Florida. Officials say there is no threat of tsunami, so that's good news there. Be among the first to get updates on stories just like this one. Make sure you have our News 6 app and you have breaking news alerts turned on. Find it for free in your app store by searching WKMG.
Now to Orange County, where deputies have been surrounding a house in Orlando's Azalea Park neighborhood since around 1 o'clock this afternoon.
We're waiting to learn if a SWAT team has entered that home and who they are looking for. This all happened outside a house about a block away from a shooting at a bus stop on Egan Drive in Hager that left a 70-year-old woman badly hurt. Now, your Orange County community correspondent, Jana Manahall, joins us live from the scene where she has been all day long. Jana, walk us through what you're seeing right now.
So if you look right over my shoulder, I'm going to step out of the shot here really quickly so you can get a sense of what we're dealing with here. This road here on the corner of Flanders Way and Faber Drive in the Azalea Park area in Orange County has been blocked off for the last few hours. We have seen SWAT arrive here in the last hour. It does appear that they have gone inside of the home. We will not be showing you the video of them entering the home or them coming out of the home at the moment due to the safety and protection of the deputies here right now. But this, again, has been the scene that's been playing out since about 1 o'clock this afternoon, because at 9 a.m. this morning, just a block over, a 70-year-old woman was shot, and she is now in critical condition in the hospital. At the time of the shooting, Orange County deputies told us they did not have a suspect in custody. I want you to take a look at some of the video that we got from the scene that this morning, right again next door to this scene right here. That scene, you can see some of the investigators collecting some evidence from that scene at a bus stop, that Lynx bus stop where the 70-year-old woman was shot. Neighbors tell me as of right now they don't believe that that Lynx stop was actually in operation. So it is unclear right now if the woman was waiting for a bus stop or she was just trying to get some shade from the sun. As of right now, I'm working to get it confirmed if Orange County is able to confirm if this scene here that we're at right now and the one in Eakin Drive where that 70-year-old woman was shot are connected, because again, they did not have a gunman in custody at the time. So I'm going to bring you two interviews here really quickly. One is from a gentleman who lives on this street that we're on right now, who is unable to enter his home because Orange County deputies again have closed off this street. He said he was shown a picture of the suspect they believe they're searching for, but he could not tell me anything other than that.
They asked me if I knew the person. They showed me a picture. The only picture they had was his backside, and that was pretty much it.
Are you able to give us any kind of description of what he looked like? I know it was from his backside.
He was similar to my build, and he's bald-headed.
Crazy. That's terrifying, honestly, especially because we come here all the time with like our kids, and there's people, like we let our kids go around that loop by ourselves and they're biking and stuff. So that's honestly very scary.
Again, what that mom is referencing, she was at Katie Hart Park just a few houses down from the first scene where that 70-year-old woman was shot. She said she was there around 11:30, and Orange County deputies said they were still looking for the gunman at that time, but nobody came and told her family that they were still looking. Again, we're going to go ahead and keep an eye on this scene right here as it continues to develop. As I get more information from the sheriff's office, we'll bring it to you here and on clickorlando.com. For now in Orange County, I'm your community correspondent, Jana Manahalal, News 6.
All right, Jana, thank you. We are learning more about the man who investigators say shot and killed both of his daughters before taking his own life. This is a picture from GoFundMe of 2-year-old Tiana and 11-month-old Jalea, who would have turned 1 on June 22nd. Deputies have identified their father as 33-year-old Bryant Watts. On Friday, deputies say they responded to a call about a man with a gun chasing a woman. Authorities say they forced their way inside the apartment after hearing gunshots. That's when they found both girls with gunshot wounds, and they later died at the hospital. We are also learning just days before, investigators say he shot and killed his 2 young daughters and then himself. Watts was in the court system facing a battery charge. Court records show Watts had a pre-trial conference last Thursday and was scheduled to go to trial later this month.
Can you guys help me with this? Because something illegal is going on here.
This Central Florida woman contacted News 6 investigator Mike DeForest 2 years ago after receiving hundreds of suspicious letters in her mailbox. Now, as a direct result of Mike's Emmy Award-winning investigation, law enforcement just made an arrest in this case. Dane Johnson is facing nearly 130 fraud charges.
The Florida Highway Patrol, which obtained the arrest warrant, credits News 6 with uncovering the fraudulent activity. News 6 investigator Mike DeForest explains how Johnson was caught.
This is what it typically looks like.
Like this?
Like this.
Patty Malone called me 2 years ago concerned about this suspicious mail that was piling up at her home near Apopka.
But it's somebody else's name with your address?
Right. It all is addressed to my house with somebody else's name.
At the time, Malone had received more than 600 letters. Most were toll violations and traffic tickets. My News 6 investigation identified more than 70 different people whose vehicles were caught on camera committing traffic violations and dodging tolls in Florida, New York, New Jersey, and all over the country. Malone does not know who owns these cars and does not recognize the people driving them.
Regina Lekatis.
But their citations were mailed to her house.
I want to get to the bottom of it because somebody's doing something illegal.
2 years ago, I shared my findings with the Florida Highway Patrol. Now, as a direct result of my News 6 investigation, FHP has arrested this man, Dane Johnson.
He is now facing 129 counts of motor vehicle title fraud. State records show Johnson owned a company called Fast and Reliable Car Titling Services.
Johnson reportedly told FHP investigators that for a $25 fee, he would come down to this Orange County tag agency designated for dealers only and submit a vehicle title application on the owner's behalf.
Most of Johnson's customers lived out of state, according to FHP, meaning their vehicles could not be titled in Florida. So instead of putting the owner's home address on the title application, investigators say Johnson wrote down Malone's address time after time after time. It's still unclear why these vehicle owners may have wanted a Florida title. As my investigation revealed, the owner of this van was wanted by police in Illinois, and several others had the same names as suspected criminals accused of petty theft, grand theft, forgery, and identity theft.
So the big question, why Malone's home here in Apopka? Well, county records confirm Johnson used to live here. He owned this house about 20 years ago.
I was shocked. I was upset. I was angry.
Malone continues to receive mail addressed to other people, but is relieved that Johnson has been arrested.
I would love to just understand why. I would love to have that conversation with him. Like, why me? Why did you pick me? I didn't do anything to you.
Johnson is now out of jail as he awaits trial. I stopped by his current home and tried reaching him by phone, but did not receive a response. If convicted, Johnson faces up to 5 years in prison for each fraudulent title application. Mike DeForest, News 6.
49 people were killed, and Mayor Buddy Dyer was the one who had to tell the world.
That was probably the toughest thing that I had to do in the entirety of the whole process.
Coming up, as we approach 10 years since the Pulse massacre, Mayor Dyer takes us back to the moment he learned just how devastating that attack really was.
Plus, a Central Florida zoo reopens after a bomb threat. Up next, what investigators are saying about that fake threat.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Advent Health.
This Friday marks 10 years since the tragedy at Pulse nightclub. And as Central Florida marks 1 decade since that mass shooting, I sat down with Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer as he reflects on that horrible night and the aftermath.
Can you just take me back to the early morning hours of June 12, 2016? I'm assuming you were at home, sound asleep.
I had gone to bed probably around 10ish on Saturday night and got a phone call a little bit before 3 o'clock from Deputy Chief Bobby Anzueto. And he said, Mayor, I have to inform you that there's been a shooting at the Pulse nightclub. There's multiple casualties and it's turned into a hostage situation. Your driver is on the way to pick you up. When I hung up, the first thing I did was called my then 26-year-old son. And I don't know whether he had ever been to Pulse or not, but he was fortunately home in bed, so it freed me to do all the things that I needed to do. There was a lot of law enforcement in there, not just the OPD, but there were 3 sheriffs, there was FBI, FDLE, so it was a fairly crowded scene, and I got debriefed on what had happened.
At that point, you had been the mayor of Orlando for more than a decade. Had you ever received a call like that?
Nothing comparative to that at all. And really, if you look at it, other than Vegas, it remains the largest mass shooting in American history.
When you arrived on scene, did you know at that point how bad it really was?
No, I had no idea. And really, I didn't understand the whole magnitude until after the first press conference, because we didn't have a total on the people that had died that night.
I vividly remember your press conference.
We have not 20, but 50 casualties.
And I thought, well, those must be injuries. A few minutes later, we discovered, no, that's how many people have died in this.
There are another 53 that are hospitalized.
That was probably the toughest thing that I had to do in the entirety of the whole process, because just getting that in your mind that there are 49 people that have been killed on that spot. And there were seasoned journalists there, and they were in shock. I could tell on their faces when I described that.
Incredible story. Well, the Central Florida Zoo was back open today after being forced to close early Sunday. The zoo was evacuated after a reported bomb threat. The fear was real, but the sheriff's office says the threat was not. And while they're looking into who is responsible, your Seminole County community correspondent, Catherine Silver, is looking into how often it's happening and how law enforcement can put a stop to it.
We just got this report from the sheriff's office that says the staff here got a call from an anonymous man Sunday afternoon who claimed there were pipe bombs planted inside the zoo. But law enforcement say the whole thing was a hoax.
The day after the swatting call, the Central Florida Zoo in Sanford was back to business as usual.
All safe, all good.
We met CEO Richard Glover, who says he's grateful that even though the threat wasn't real, the response was. Deputies swept the property and found nothing, and the few people still in the park were safely evacuated.
Anytime we get something like that, we have to take it seriously.
When I started looking into this, I immediately saw that zoos in several states have received similar threats that have all been deemed to be non-credible. Is that something you were aware of?
It is.
Glover says the zoo recently reviewed their safety protocols with staff after zoos in several states were also targeted.
It's causing widespread panic across the country.
Dr. Stephen Holmes is a professor and criminal justice expert at UCF.
From what we understand, there's like 4 different types of people that engage in swatting. There's the thrill seekers, the people who do it for revenge, the ideological driven, and there's the opportunists.
He says swatting is a growing problem that is not easy to solve.
You have to understand why they're doing it, who's doing it, and it gets really difficult to do.
How does law enforcement stop swatting from happening?
We have to make an example of those who engage in this type of crime. It's got to be a very serious offense, and the penalties have to be not just prison time, but serious prison time. This is up there. This is one of the most serious things that we face today.
The Department of Homeland Security says swatting calls and hoax threats are a daily occurrence. In fact, the same day that the Seminole County Sheriff's Office was called to the zoo, they also responded to another unrelated swatting call in a Sanford neighborhood. This report mentions there were several other swatting bomb threats in the county earlier in the day. I'm Catherine Silver, News 6.
All right, turning now to our forecast. The heat is on.
Yes, it is.
Like it never left.
Yeah, what happened to that cold front a couple of days ago?
Yeah, Jonathan, what happened?
It's gone. It went back on vacation away from here for sure. It took a trip up, maybe up to the mountains or something. Yeah, it was nice while it lasted. Obviously, we all know that it's not going to last forever, and we have some of the heat coming back, gradually the humidity by the second after your weekend. And then by the end of this week, it is going to look and feel a whole lot like it should in Central Florida as the rain chances return. Daytona Beach, good evening. We are back to 81, a little cooler along the coast, relatively speaking, because we still have the breeze out of the east. Orlando's back to 86. Mount Dora checking in. One of the hotter spots tonight at 90, 91 right now in Ocala this evening. We'll keep things fairly warm again and even warmer over the next couple of days. There's a live look outside downtown Orlando with our Light Orlando delivering Hope Skycam. Air temperatures back to the mid 80s. The breeze is out of the east at about 15-ish miles an hour, again helping to keep the coastline just a little bit cooler if you're hanging out on the beach today. 73 will start tomorrow morning in Leesburg, and that is the telltale sign again that humidity is creeping back up as the temperatures only cool. Again, cool, relatively speaking, back down into the low to mid 70s. It'll be toasty start at the Cape tomorrow, hanging around 80 degrees on Merritt Island, 79 in Cocoa Beach tomorrow. Now here's a look at your afternoon.
Your forecast is sponsored by Strata Services.
Another toasty one back in the lower 90s. Obviously, get used to that by this point of the year. We're hanging around 90 in the Villages. Oviedo, good evening. We're back to 89 tomorrow, 85 in New Smyrna Beach as our breeze remains off of the Atlantic tomorrow. Rain chances also starting to tick back up just a smidge, only at 20% tomorrow afternoon. All the real active stuff is hanging way back toward our north and west. We will have just a few passing clouds in the mix. We have those higher, thinner clouds that are outside right now. They pose no threat to any kind of rainfall, but that will change a little bit tomorrow with the heating of the day. So the rest of tonight, again, we still have some of those clouds out there. They're 7 o'clock tomorrow evening, and then right on down the Florida Peninsula spine, if you will. We have a couple of those downpours popping back up, nothing too crazy. Again, most of us are dry. And then I think we'll increase that chance a little bit on Wednesday, and then even further as we get into late afternoon on Thursday into Thursday evening. That's going to be 5 o'clock. And note where we have scattered thunderstorms pretty much right smack down the middle of the Florida Peninsula. That is your typical iconic heating of the day sea breeze thunderstorms firing up along both coasts and then pushing inland. Tropical update, no new development expected over the next 7 days. All of the action, and this is to be expected, on the eastern Pacific side. There may be a little something trying to get going in the Gulf, maybe some crossover moisture from a system that's actually in the eastern Pacific now, but that should stay away from Florida. 91 degrees on Wednesday, 40% shot for thunderstorms. Same deal on Thursday. Higher rain chances arrive to close out your work week and to start your weekend. We'll be right back.
Here's a recap of today's top stories. Right now, a scene in Azalea Park, close to the bus stop where a woman in her 70s was shot this morning, is underway.
That shooting happened on Egan Drive just before 9 this morning, sparking a search for the shooter. Now, hours later, multiple deputies, a sheriff's helicopter, and a drone are responding to a home in that area, with investigators preparing to serve a search warrant at a home just a block away from that shooting scene. It's unclear whether that house is directly connected to the shooting. The victim's condition is not known at this time.
New court records show the father, accused of killing his 2 young daughters before taking his own life, was scheduled to go on trial later this month. 33-year-old Bryant Watts had a pre-trial conference last Thursday in a misdemeanor battery case. Deputies say the day after that court hearing, Watts shot and killed his daughters, 2-year-old Tiana and 11-month-old Jalea, before killing himself.
And people all over Central Florida are reacting to an earthquake. The 6.1 magnitude earthquake in Cuba was felt all the way here in Central Florida. Now, Lake County officials tell us all of its offices will be back open tomorrow after closing out as a precaution because of that earthquake.
All right, you were watching that closely for us all day and guiding us through like where it actually happened and where people were feeling it.
Yeah, not on the bingo card, as they say, to be talking about
Right,
an earthquake this afternoon. We're going to break this down even further.